In debt? In too deep? Alcoa 10 Federal Credit Union says, stop treading water and get out of the deep end. If you've got debt, make a splash and come get some cash. If Alcoa 10 Federal Credit Union can refinance your car, boat, camper, motorcycle, credit cards, personal or home loan, they'll pay you up to $500. So come take the plunge right now. Refinance your loans. Alcoa 10 Federal Credit Union will pay you. 5 convenient locations. Visit atfcu.com. Equal housing lender.
When I made the move to my own studio, I was worried about this. I was worried about that. I was worried about, hey, did I get this piece of equipment? Did I get that piece of equipment? Does that sound good? Does that not sound good? One thing I didn't have to worry about, that was office furniture, because Office Furniture Outfitters met my furniture needs. With a 50,000 square foot facility, they have East Tennessee's largest selection and are the best value for new and used office furniture. Located in Knoxville, it's easy to find everything you need for your new space, including desks, file cabinets, chairs, conference tables, and more. Office Furniture Outfitters is turnkey. They came to my place, we mapped everything out that was needed, they delivered, and get this, set everything up. To learn more about what Office Furniture Outfitters can do for you, log on to ofonox.com. That's ofonox.com.
Deep down the middle's got his man, and he's gone. Jason Swain, touchdown.
It's time for the Swain Event.
Guess what time it is? My time. You can check your iPhone. Better say it's our time.
With your host, Jason Swain.
My man.
Real sports talk for the real sports fan.
All you chumps are gonna bow when I whoop him.
It's time for the Swain Event, fueled by Dead End BBQ.
Give me 2 pounds and a Ric Flair.
Swain Event, SwainEvent.com, fueled by Dead End BBQ, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. It is Wednesday, 3 minutes past the top of the hour. We are about 2 days away from, I'm dreading it so much, but I'm not. I'm not looking forward to it, but I am. I'm so nervous, but I'm not. And that is on Friday, honoring a bet that Ben and I made right before the NCAA tournament, our bracket challenge, our own Swain Event bracket challenge, where whoever has the most L's will have to take a big L, but also could be called a big W. And that is eating dead end ribs with a fork. Why? Because we make fun of Seth Stokes for doing the same exact thing a few years ago at a barbecue cooking class put on by Dead End BBQ. Why did I agree to this bet? A 50% chance is just not good enough. People ask me all the time. I have 3 girls. Hey, you gonna try again? You gonna try again for that boy? Not with a 50% chance. I'm not. Nah, I'm good. 50% just not good enough. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I had the easy win, but I took an L. But that's all right. Like Big Sean said, I'm gonna bounce back. I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win a bet moving forward. I'm good to go.
Technically, it's your fault as to why you have to eat ribs with a fork. Aside from the fact that you picked more games wrong than I did.
Yeah, it's my fault. I agree to it.
Well, not only that, I simply stated loser has to buy the other dead end.
Yeah, that was
And then
easy.
you're like, yeah, but would you rather be buying my ribs or would you rather be eating ribs with a fork?
I mean, looking back on it now, I would rather be just buying your meal.
Exactly.
But, I mean, that's
And
boring. That's
instead-
something I do already sometimes.
Yeah, that is true. Wasn't it Turkey Man who came up with this?
Turkey Man came up with it. Turkey Man Slick has like the best ideas ever.
Correct. Just like the other day when we were on Rick Barnes' watch, I tweeted out that Rick Barnes does love him some Dead End BBQ.
He does.
And then Turkey Man responded, "We got to get the nanner pudding for the closing."
Dang.
And then like 2 hours later,
Boom.
3 hours later, he decided to stay. So he must have gotten him some Dead End banana pudding in his system.
Was it 3 hours later or was it 1 hour later?
I actually think it was more because I think I tweeted that kind of early in the afternoon.
I thought it was just 1 hour. Wasn't just 1 hour? You sure?
Your reference is going over my head.
Are you sleepy this morning? I thought you were sharp as a tack. Guess you don't get the decision being made in an hour reference. You don't get that.
Nope.
Okay. 865-255-03 B Drive Waterproofing Hotline. Guess I should just walk out of here like Magic Johnson with the Lakers. Just surprise everybody. Yeah, I'm done. I just want to have fun. Magic Johnson, man. Magic Johnson with the most pettiest move I've seen in a very long time. I'm not sure behind the scenes if there's like any personal animosity, but Magic Johnson, president of basketball operations, didn't even tell anybody, and just in a press conference, impromptu press conference, was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna step down. Yeah, I haven't told my boss, but yeah, you know, I can't really tweet that much as a front office person, and you know, I kind of miss doing that. So I want to tweet again.
He really said that?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, and I want to have fun. I can't do that anymore.
I saw all of the shenanigans last night. I did not see that quote.
Yeah.
That is terrible.
Yeah, he said he just wants to tweet again.
What are you talking about, Magic?
He can't tweet about other players because
Right.
that would be considered tampering. He can't have fun. He has to always be with the team. No, he had a good time, I think, at the NCAA tournament, the ACC tournament. Saw him a couple times, but what is wrong with California sports teams? What is wrong with y'all, man? UCLA, USC.
I think we should correct it from California sports teams to LA sports teams.
Yeah, LA sports teams. I mean, the UCLA tweet that was like excited to welcome Mick Cronin as head coach.
The responses were beautiful.
Like, even my wife was like, ha ha, you had to get your second choice. And I was like, no, babe. Actually, it was like their 10th or 15th choice, and Rick Barnes was like the 9th or 14th choice. She was like, oh.
Just like that?
Oh.
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 Oh, it sounds like a Vanderbilt fan saying, oh, while he's drinking their tea with their pinkies up.
I mean, golly, LA sports teams, what is going on? But
except for the Clippers. Shout out to the Clippers in the playoffs. Who would have thought 10 years ago that they were going to be the most functional franchise, NBA franchise in the city? I feel bad for Luke Walton.
he'll be all right. He getting paid. He'll get another job.
Are you blaming LeBron James for this? A lot of people already are, without knowing anything behind the scenes.
No, it's easy to blame LeBron, but I'm not going to blame LeBron because
Until more stuff comes out.
Well, just because they were dysfunctional even without him, and Magic at least got LeBron. So it's not like all this stuff happened when LeBron came. This stuff was even worse before LeBron got there.
And this is the last thing I'll say on it, so we can move on. But D'Angelo Russell playing with the Nets, Julius Randle balling out, and Brooke Lopez balling out. 3 guys that should be on the Lakers today instead of Lance Stevenson and Rajon Rondo and Timothy Mozgov, even though he's not on the team anymore. But why don't you re-sign those guys? If they re-sign those guys, they make the playoffs.
Yeah, D'Angelo Russell had to go.
Correct.
He had to go.
It was better for him anyways. Last NBA note, shout out to D-Wade and Dirk Nowitzki.
Oh, no doubt about it. That's on that boy today, Dwayne Wade, man. He made me cry yesterday, man. Whew. Powerful video they put out. Kelly Harper has already been named the women's basketball coach. That press conference is for today to officially be announced. And, man, she's already winning. She's already winning, Ben. She's already winning. Now, her biggest win before she ever coaches a game is to keep her recruits who are committed. Her second win is to keep the players who are currently on this team. Because of the new transfer rules, it makes it a whole lot easier for any athlete to just get up and leave. Avina Westbrook, who may be Tennessee's best player. Maybe.
When they're playing at their best, yes.
Yeah.
Her or Renai Davis. I like Renai Davis's game more. Avina turns the ball over a little too much for my liking. Maybe that's just her being a young point guard and playing heavy minutes. But I've always been a huge fan of Renai Davis in her game.
Yeah. You get Avina back, and you get her playing up to her capabilities. You have a point guard, former point guard with a point guard mentality, and Kelly Harper with Avina. Now we're talking about something. So you got to get those committed players to stay committed, which that looks like that's happened.
Oh, it is happening. ESPN's women's basketball writer Michelle, or I think it's Walter Villa, wrote this, but all 3 of their commitments have told ESPN that they're sticking with Tennessee. They reaffirmed their commitment, and that is huge because Jordan Horston is the number 2 overall player in the country and a point guard. She told ESPN that Tennessee is not going to pick the wrong person as coach. I'm ready to go in there with open ears. I want to turn the program around. She went on to say that there were a lot of mixed emotions after she found out that Holly Woollick got fired, but I was kind of upset, but also excited about what's next. I just want to win. I like those.
I don't know if you had a moment like me, but I had like a wait, what moment when I read that quote.
Oh, I did too.
Because it was weird. It was really weird. Here's the part that's really weird for me that I've never heard before. Was I want to come in and change and turn the program around? Huh? What? When have we heard that before? Women's basketball. We've heard it a lot with Tennessee football. We've heard recruits say, "Hey, I want to come in. We're gonna change things around. We're gonna win the championship." We've heard that before. I'm not saying it's wrong that she said that. I'm just saying that I've never heard it before, so I wasn't really used to hearing that. But
well, I took it as maybe she wanted a coaching change. Because she said she had mixed emotions, that sure, she was upset that, the person that recruited her was being let go, but she just wants to win. That kind of told me that she realized that the Lady Vols were in a bad situation.
Yeah,
and she goes on to say about Kelly Harper that she was a point guard and I'm a point guard. She has the blueprint. She's going to push me to be a great player. I believe she still has that Lady Vol in her, and she's not going to let this program down.
No, she definitely has the Lady Vol in her, because once you have it, it never leaves. So that's the first win for Kelly Harper. I think she's going to be okay.
I do too. It has really grown on me, and something I believe you said yesterday has really stuck with me over the last 24 hours.
You listening to your boy?
I always listen to you. You know that.
Oh, Ben, are you taking what I've said to heart? Is that what you're doing, Ben?
Just like everybody does around these parts.
Oh, man.
But initially, my thought process was, well, simply based off the resume, if she wasn't a former Lady Vol, I don't necessarily believe she would have been a candidate, and I still do believe that. But I guess you can say I'm spinning it on a positive note, because, like you said yesterday, in order to be successful, you have to fail first in some instances. And I think that her failing at NC State will help her here in Knoxville turn around this Lady Vols basketball program. And so that has really grown on me over the last couple of days, and I've really come around to the idea.
If you can have committed players who are top 5 and top 10 players committed to you already before you even get the job, or committed to the program before you get the job, and then you get the job and then they stay, we understand that getting players will not be tough. It's going to be about her ability to move people and lead people. That's what it's about. When Nick Saban took over the Alabama job, there was really good players already committed to Alabama. They didn't know Nick Saban was going to be the head coach, but Nick Saban inherited good players. Now, he had to get those players to buy in, and that's why they only won 7 games in their first season. But the turnaround was quick because he had good players already. I think Kelly Harper's going to be just fine. It's not like a total rebuild where you don't have the players and you don't have the coaches. No, this is Lady Vol basketball. There's a small tweak that needs to happen, and then Tennessee is back to winning at a high level. Like, I think Kelly Harper will be just fine.
I think that small tweak is just fixing the culture. Not even on the basketball court. Obviously, X's and O's wise, things can most definitely improve. But the bigger problem for the past 2 or 3 years has been the culture off the court, and just being able to relate to players, disciplining players when they need to, holding them accountable. And I think Kelly Harper will do that. And this team already has a young nucleus, assuming that there isn't a mass exodus of transfers. I mean, there's a bunch of freshmen and sophomores that are now going to be juniors and sophomores.
I need to know about Paco, the Raleigh Squirrel. I need to know everything about this young fella.
Well, apparently it is a female, so the new name is Pacalia or something like that.
Pacalia? I need to know everything about Pacalia.
They changed it. They turned Paco into a girl name because they found out it's a female.
Huh. Interesting. We talked to Tony Vitello at 8:30. Maybe we'll find out what's going on with this Raleigh Squirrel.
Pacalina.
Okay. We'll roll with that. But we will have Tony Vitello, head baseball coach here on the Swain Event at 8:30. So 8:30, hour 2, don't go anywhere. We will talk to Tony Vitello. So used to saying head basketball coach Rick Barnes.
Well, we've been talking about basketball, both Lady Vols and men's, all week long. 2 weeks.
I know, man. 865-200-5503. Be right back.
You don't have to take an L just because you can't listen to the Swain Event live. You can catch up on the podcast posted daily on the app, online, and on iTunes.
Top 100 Barbecue Restaurant Dead End BBQ is the best place in Knoxville to get your barbecue fix. With new specials and a new menu, there is something for everyone. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, try the Smokehouse Stew. Thursday through Saturday, the Hillbilly Chili is where it's at. Don't forget the half-off wings on Tuesdays from 4 to 8 p.m. and the salmon plate on Friday. The people spoke and Dead End listened, adding Dead End Society favorites like the Bernie Mac, Randall's Kitchen Sink Burrito, and the Barbecue Cheddar Meatloaf to the menu full time. Whether it's a game day or any day, at Dead End Barbecue, the mouth-watering barbecue search is over.
Do you want a custom themed tumbler or bottle to show off your team spirit every day of the week? Well, look no further than Game Time Sidekicks. Every design has you, the fan, in mind. Their tumblers and bottles are double-walled, vacuum-insulated stainless steel, and their quality is second to none in the market. From stainless steel sippy cups to tumblers and sports bottles, Game Time Sidekicks offers something for the fan of all ages to rep their team with. They have many different logo options, so fans will have something they are proud to carry around all the time. Use promo code SWAIN at checkout to get 20% off of your entire purchase at GameTimeSidekicks.com. They also offer $5 flat rate shipping. Be sure to check out the Game Time Workshop on the website and customize your tumbler to make it one of a kind with things like your nickname, number, or initials. Game Time Sidekicks. Show your colors and carry your team.
While the other guys are taking guesses, the Swain Event is taking you behind the scenes and in the huddle every morning from 7 till 10 right here.
Are you looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? If so, then call me, Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty. I take a no-nonsense approach to the real estate transaction. No fluff, just facts. Having lived and worked in the Knoxville area for 19 years, I am very familiar with the local real estate landscape and am ready to help you get the most money for your property with the least amount of hassle in the shortest amount of time. No one likes for their home to sit on the market for months at a time. If a straightforward approach to your real estate needs is what you prefer, then give me a call. Jennifer Morris with Keller Williams Realty at 865-694-5904 or email me at jennifermorris865@gmail.com.
You're driving home, flashing blue lights in your rearview mirror. You pull over, step out of your car, and the next thing you know, you're being arrested for driving under the influence. Now what do? We all should be responsible. But remember, just because you're arrested doesn't mean you're guilty. Call criminal defense and DUI attorney Marcos Garza at 865-540-8300. The investigative teams at the Garza Law Firm know the justice system inside and out. They utilize cutting-edge technologies and investigative methods to prepare your specific case. Before you plead guilty to any criminal charges, call criminal defense and DUI attorney Marcos Garza. Put his number in your phone right now, 865-540-8300, because you never know when you or a friend will need it. Don't say guilty. Say Garza. 865-540-8300. 865-540-8300 and GarzaLaw.com.
You're listening to the Swain Event.
And you know this, man?
Swain Event, fueled by Dead End BBQ. We go to the Be Dry waterproofing hotline, BeDry.com. And always first, setting the tone here in the Swain Event for all the callers. That is Jay. Jay, good morning.
Hello.
What's up?
Oh, not too much. I forgot what I was going to say. And then I can't wait to watch that press conference later.
Well, how about we do this, Jay? How about we put you back on hold, and then you can remember what you said, and we'll come back to you. How about that? We will get to Chris in Georgia. Chris, good morning.
Hey.
Hey, Chris.
What's up, guys? Yeah, back on the Kelly Harper hire. I think she's going to be successful, too. Everybody wants to bring up her time at NC State, but that was kind of like a situation that's kind of there's no way to win it. She was taking over for what would be their version of Pat Summitt, and I'm drawing a blank on her name. I won't say her last name was Coach Loy or something like that, but she took over for her. I think passed away from breast cancer or some type of cancer.
They were like Kay Yow's?
Yao, Coach Yao, that's what it was.
Yeah. I don't know how I know
but
that.
Took over for her. You know, it's a legendary coach. I think she'd been there since like 75 or 76. You know, and this woman had built up NC State basketball, which was the premier basketball team in the ACC at the time, women's basketball team in the ACC at the time. And shortly after she took that job, Coach Yao's sister became the athletic director. So, I mean, you got to imagine, you know, you're following a legend, and then you have that legend has passed away, and you've got her sister as your boss. You know, I mean, that's a lot of undue stress for a young coach. I think she was probably in her early 30s at the time, maybe late 20s at the time when she took that job, and it may have been a little bit too big for her at the time. I mean, now that she went to that NC State experience, she went to, you know, Missouri State, and she took that team, which doesn't have the resources, doesn't have the recruiting, doesn't have the fan base that a Tennessee team has, and she took them to a Sweet 16, which is what NC State's doing now with Wes Moore. I mean, he's a good coach, but he's Elite Eight, Sweet 16 is about what he's popping out with right now with that team. So, I mean, you got to have high hopes for her. I think she's going to do really, really well, and I think that both basketball programs and the football program are all going to be winning here in the near future, and I think Coach Fulmer knows that. I mean, his three major hires before retaining Rick Barnes and hiring Coach Harper, was the volleyball coach, the golf coach, and football. And football's doing as well as it can, given what it was left with. And volleyball and golf finished ranked this year, which, I mean, for a first-year coach, that's insane. And I think he knows what he's doing, and anybody that's questioning that, just needs to stop.
Yeah, I think when you look at the big picture, Coach Fulmer has done a good job so far. Look at the coaches and kind of the positions that those programs are in right now. It's going in the right direction. I would be biased. I would be wrong if I sat here and said that Coach Fulmer has done every little thing right and said everything right. But those are minor things. Now, with Rick Barnes, those minor things could have turned into something big if he would have left. But when you have a National Coach of the Year, I mean, you just gotta. There's some things you just gotta do. And I understand this is a football school, but you gotta coach who is more proven than the football coach and who's done more and been more successful. So when he achieves an unbelievable award like National Coach of the Year, there's some just things that has to happen, and that's Coach Fulmer not really understanding that, because this has always been a football school. We never had a Coach of the Year like that, and so moving forward, man, you make those adjustments, and you do better. When I was raised, good folks used to tell me, "Know better, do better," and so now Coach knows little mistakes he's made, said or done, and you kind of move forward. But bigger picture, man, we got some dang good coaches here, and we got some teams right now that's going in the right direction with seems like all of our programs, and that's what you want. So, and that's kind of gets me to my question. Thanks for the phone call. Gets me to my question is, like, how do you feel right now as a Tennessee fan? Because I had like a really, really proud moment as an alum yesterday during Grant Williams' press conference. And I don't know, maybe I'm getting emotional lately. I don't know. I need to toughen up. Who knows? Whatever. Maybe it's the fact that I got three daughters.
That's what I was going to say. It is the product of you having 3 daughters and a wife.
I guess, man. But like, I was sitting there watching Grant Williams conduct himself like a professional as a junior at Tennessee. And I've been around a lot of athletes. I've played with a lot of dudes that even as seniors or fifth-year seniors don't conduct themselves like Grant Williams. I've seen guys not take advantage of the opportunities that you have here when you are an athlete and you get the microphone. You got a chance to sell yourself to the world. To the world. Just think about that. These athletes sometimes, they don't like the media. They don't like speaking. I'm like, that's dumb. You have an opportunity to sell yourself and build your brand. Look at the pro game. Look at how these guys have taken ownership of their own brand. Look at what they're doing. They're using social media. They're taking every opportunity when they have a platform to talk about things that matter to them. Whether you like it or not, you look at the NFL and look at the changes that are made just in players' community because they have that platform and they're speaking on things that matter to them. And action is taking place. Like, you have a platform once you have that microphone and you're a really good player. I was just sitting there watching Grant Williams. And I was like, man, this dude gets it. This dude gets it. And I got a couple messages on Twitter, and these were not malicious messages or anything like that or anyone being negative, but they were like, why did they do this with Grant? We already knew that he was going to do this, which was declare for the NBA draft.
Getting all your sports mixed up.
And have the opportunity or the door still open for him to return and gather information. Well, we already knew that already. Why did he have to do a press conference? And it wasn't like a smart question or anyone being a butthead. It was like a legitimate question. And so my response was, give me what Grant did over what Jordan Bone did. And listen, I'm not saying Jordan Bone did anything wrong. That's just what he did. That's what he wanted to do. He has that right. Good job. But what Grant did was so professional. It was such a professional rep. Like, we've heard leadership reps, and which makes no sense. What Grant did, that was a professional rep. That was him explaining his intentions, explaining the process, and then taking questions about it and answering it like a pro. And I was sitting there like, man, I'm so proud of Grant Williams. And I'm so proud that we have someone like a Grant Williams representing Tennessee. And I felt that way when Josh Dobbs was here, and every time he would hit the podium. And I was so proud of him when he stood up and acted like a pro when we lost to Vanderbilt. And the head coach tucked his tail and ran, did not want to address the media because he was ashamed that he got outcoached by Vanderbilt and lost. So he didn't want to talk to the media. You have to have the same energy, the same willingness to address the media in defeat and in victory. And we saw that from Tom Izzo in the tournament. Like, Tom Izzo was a pro's pro. Bruce Pearl, pro's pro. You're gracious in defeat, you're gracious in victory. And that's something I learned from Coach Fulmer being a player for him. But Grant Williams, man, I'm just so proud to be involved. How he's handled himself, how he's conducted himself. He had a moment early in the season where he let his emotions get the best of him. It wasn't like the worst thing ever, but you remember this.
Oh, the Gator Chomp?
The Gator Chomp. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But guess what he said?
I should not have done it.
You know what? I shouldn't have done it. I'm the leader. My emotion got the best of me. We're not the same team that we were a year or two ago. We need to act like we've been there before.
The fan in me loved it.
The fan in me loved it too. But I felt where Grant was coming from. And immediately he changed into a different leader. And he carried himself like a professional. He took a Bisman-like approach. And I'm just so happy that we got a dude like Grant Williams representing Tennessee. But as I look at Tennessee as a whole, man, look at kind of what's going on right now, man. I'm feeling really good as a Tennessee alum. And I know we always joke about keeping your cup on because you never know what might happen. But I can tell you, man, right now, I'm proud of what we got going on, man.
Out of the 5 major sports on campus, football, both basketball squads, baseball, and softball, all are on the up and up. Football is on the up and up with Jeremy Pruitt. They are recruiting very well, and all signs point to Jeremy Pruitt being a pretty good football coach. How good will he be is to be determined, but I would be surprised if at minimum he isn't doing what Butch Jones capped out at, which is 9 wins. I would be surprised if Jeremy Pruitt does anything less than that. The men's basketball team is rocking and rolling. The head coach just chose to stay in Knoxville over a blue blood. The women's basketball has positive energy around it for the first time in 2 or 3 years. And you're bringing in the number 2 player in the country, and you already have a good young nucleus. Now the roster could use some tweaks, need a post player desperately, and they are bringing in, I believe her name is Tamara Key. She's the number 46 overall player in the country, and she is a post player, so hopefully she'll be able to play right away as a freshman. You have Mimi Collins, who did some things here and there this season as a freshman, but all that to say, the Lady Vols are on the up and up for the first time in 2-3 years. There's a positive energy. The baseball program is exceeding expectations this year. They weren't expected to make the tournament, and right now they are sitting in the tournament if the season ended today. Obviously, there's still 2 months to go, so still a lot of baseball left to be played. And then the softball is doing what Ralph and Karen Weekly always do. They're a top 10 softball team, once again, who has a legitimate chance to win a national championship. So Tennessee athletics is absolutely rolling right now. There's not a negative energy surrounding any of the programs on campus, and then you can even take it past that, where all all the smaller sports are doing very well. The golf team is doing well. Track and field is phenomenal right now. The tennis team is doing well. Swimming and diving, like everything's rolling in the right direction. And it kind of takes me back to what Coach Fulmer said when he took over as athletic director in his opening press conference. They need everybody on the same page. And it feels like for the first time in quite some time, everybody in the athletic department at Tennessee is on the same page, talking the same language, stepping with the left foot at the same time, stepping with the right foot at the same time. They're all walking in the same direction. And as a Tennessee fan, as a Tennessee alum, it's really cool to watch.
I have lamented several times on this program about our school, our program, and how we value buildings over people. And I use Miami as an example, Miami football as an example, who had one of the worst facilities I've ever witnessed as a visiting team. Entering the Orange Bowl there, and that is an old site, but Miami in the early 2000s was smacking people across the face on the football field, winning championships, competing for championships, dominating, but had the worst facilities that you can imagine. And when I started getting into radio, and that was around the time when Tennessee was not winning. You know, you lost Lane Kiffin, Dooley is here, and, you know, we're losing. And the facilities were great then. Remember, Derek Dooley kind of was orchestrating the construction. He had his little hard hat on, and he was kind of leading the charge there.
Best thing he ever did at
Tennessee. He thought he was an engineer instead of a football coach, but that was Dooley's problem. And I remember just walking into the complex, was like, man, we sure got a lot of nice things up in here, but we ain't winning anything. I had the same thought a couple weeks ago when I was walking through the complex, and it looks even better now than it did when Dooley was here. And I was like, man, this is nice. This is great. John Curry's first week or two, we had him on the program, and I asked him about the concept of putting the resources in the people rather than in buildings, because we knew that he was a master fundraiser, and he was really good at that. Him and Mike Hamilton really good at that. Not the best people, but like I truly feel today that we have put power in people by Rick Barnes.
I mean, if Rick Barnes wants to go get Rick Bird to replace Rob Lanier, that would be fantastic.
No,
but that is not happening.
That's not what I meant.
I know.
Coach Fulmer, administration, going out and investing in the person, and that is Rick Barnes, and giving Rick Barnes what he needs to go out and do the same thing and attract good people. Getting Coach Fulmer here, going out, bringing T. Martin back, bringing Jim Chaney back, like getting Kelly Harper. Like, we are investing in people, I think, more now than we have in a very, 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 very long time. Tennessee is just like every other place in America, right? When it comes to athletics, we have nice buildings. We have nice things. Every team has a mascot. Every team has team colors. Every team has nice facilities. But what separates one school from another school? It's the people. The people separate Knoxville from this city or Tennessee from this other school. It's the people, and we got away from that. And I think for the first time in a long time, we're back to that. I feel really good about it.
And I think it really shows more so in how Tennessee is treating assistant coaches with the football team, opening up the checkbook, and then now with the basketball program. Obviously, Rick Barnes received a raise, but I think the assistant coaches are going to be paid a lot more than they were as well. So I think it really shows in the assistant coaches more so than the head coaches.
Feeling good right now. Thank you, Grant Williams.
I'm still keeping my cup on, if I'm being honest.
Thank you. Oh, well, always. I keep my head on the swivel always in life, but, man, feeling good right now as a Tennessee alum. Swain Event. Be right back.
For a replay of each day's Swain Event TV, like us on Facebook.
We have all made the mistake of dropping or breaking our smartphones. See? But did you know that you can have it repaired for a fraction of the cost that it takes to replace it? Well, you can, because iDrop is the area's leading mobile repair store, home of the 1 hour or less phone repair, 1 year parts warranty, and #1 customer service. Broken screens, cracked cameras, charging ports, batteries, you break it, we'll fix it. If you didn't break your phone, protect it with one of our leading accessories such as LifeProof, OtterBox, UAG, Incipico, Caseology, and Spec. Visit our West Hills location at 7115 Kingston Pike between Office Depot and Hardee's, or call 865-888-9740 and speak with our trained technicians to see how we can get your phone working today.
When you see the happy face on our truck, you'll be smiling because you'll know that you're in love.
It's freezing in here, Mary. What's wrong with your heater?
The repairman can't get here till next week.
Sugar, you've got the wrong guy. My guy is fast and has free heating service calls when he does the repair.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Hiller. Take advantage of a free service call with any repair.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
While the other guys are taking guesses, the Swain Event is taking you behind the scenes and in the huddle every morning from 7 till 10 right here.
We're here with Dr. Mike Carlson of Tennessee Regenerative Sports Medicine. If you have orthopedic injuries such as shoulder pain, knee pain, or instability, Achilles tendonitis, golfer's or tennis elbow, do what I did and give them a call.
Yeah, Jason, we specialize in regenerative non-surgical orthopedics. So we treat damaged ligaments, tendons, and joints, including things like rotator cuff injuries, knee instability, elbow problems, as well as foot problems like plantar fasciitis, Achilles, things of that nature, by injecting with stem cells and what's called PRP, or platelet-rich plasma. And this form of treatment we do under ultrasound, so we know we have our target. And it also stimulates the body's own reparative process, and this allows for the healing of damaged tissue. And as you well know, numerous professional and collegiate athletes, guys like Steph Curry, Tiger Woods, and even yourself with your ankle injury, have been using this form of treatment for years. And so we offer that same type of treatment here in East Tennessee.
Visit them on the web at trsportsmedicine.com. Tennessee Regenerative Sports Medicine, East Tennessee's leader in regenerative therapy.
Craving flavors that don't take hours in the kitchen? Mrs. Grissom's cheese spreads and chicken salads are the perfect go-to. Ready-to-eat meals and snacks found in the meat or dairy section at your local grocery store. Whether you crave the classic Mrs. Grissom's pimento cheese or the gluten-free select varieties like the cranberry pecan chicken salad, enjoy small-town flavor in every bite. Select the best. Select Mrs. Grissom's.
JC's Tree and Landscaping Service specializes in quality tree work done at an affordable price. Trimming and removing trees are their specialty. They also offer other services like land clearing, stump grinding, crane services, and all of your basic landscaping needs for both commercial and residential. JC's will give you a free estimate and beat any written quote by a competitor to guarantee that you get the lowest price around. Don't risk your land with a fly-by-night service. JC's Tree and Landscaping is licensed and insured. Give them a call at 865-599-3799. Have you noticed lack of energy, motivation, and drive? Call the Low T Center and schedule a complete health assessment today. Whether you have sleep apnea and need a CPAP or have low testosterone or low thyroid levels, Low T Center will get you feeling great again. If you're a man over 30 and haven't had an annual checkup, don't wait until you feel bad. Do yourself a favor and get a quick and easy health assessment today. Services are covered by most health insurance. Call 865-392-1388 or go to lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Around the SEC, powered by 42nd Street Marketing, your game-winning play call for design, marketing, and branding.
Around the SEC is brought to you by 42nd Street Design. Call Mike at 865-382-7007. I did not mean to say Rick Bird. I meant to say Randy Boy. Randy Boy, Coach Fulmer, Rick Barnes getting together and making things happen. I was thinking, I guess Randy Boy, because I watched the three-point college basketball competition and slam dunk competition there in Minneapolis before the Final Four, and Rick Bird was there watching and supporting one of the Lady Belmont players who was competing in three-point competition. So I had Rick Bird on the brain, but I definitely meant Randy Boy and Coach Fulmer doing what it took to keep Rick Barnes here on campus. All right, around the SEC, Ben, what do we have today?
A couple basketball news and notes. Obviously, Grant Williams was the big name that declared for the draft yesterday, but he was not the only one, as several SEC basketball players made up their mind on what they're going to do. There's one that returned to school or decided to return to school, and that is Kentucky point guard Ashton Higgins. He was a freshman this year, replacing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from a year ago, who bolted to the NBA and became a first-round pick. And yesterday he took to Instagram to announce that he would be returning to Kentucky for his sophomore season because he needs to.
Why?
To develop his outside shot, to develop his offense.
Why is he announcing?
No. I mean, because, again, this is kind of speaks to my point of the NBA falls in love with the 18, 19-year-old kids with quote-unquote a lot of potential, and he was one of those kids who, I mean, he was projected to go in the first round. I think Jordan Bone is infinitely better than Ashton Higgins, but Ashton Higgins has the benefit of being a former five-star and having that quote-unquote all-world potential attached to his name, and that's what NBA executives fall in love with.
The reason why I say why is because no hate here, just calling like I see it. Ashton Higgins is probably, I won't say the worst, but there was other freshmen, true freshmen, that played better than him for Kentucky this season. Kellen Johnson and Tyler Hero. And I didn't really think it was going to be a tough decision for him to come back. I thought that was a really easy decision for him to make, which is come back. But I understand he's a freshman, he's at Kentucky, blah, 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 go get your money, whatever. But I thought it was a pretty easy decision from what I saw from him, that he needed another year. Trey Jones coming back, you definitely need to come back. And
most definitely.
That's kind of what I'm saying. And him announcing it that way, I understand this is kind of the day we live in, but it reminds me of like a grad transfer football player who needs to edit to announce where he's going. It's like, man, you already did it already.
Or like Kyra Lewis, like recommitting to Alabama. Like, in his note, he was like thanks for all the love and support and everybody who recruited me and gave me a chance.
It's like, dude, come on, man, you already did this already. You did this. You were a high school player. You did this already. Like, come on, man. Let's just keep it moving.
Well,
like Grant Williams, PJ Washington, those dudes make an announcement, okay. But like
I get Ashton Higgins making an announcement, because if you simply watched him on the court and paid no attention to mock drafts, you would say, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't even think about him leaving for the draft. But when you're projected as a first-round pick in the late first round, you got to come out and make an announcement.
I get it. Maybe I'm just being an old man there, but
no, I agree with you. I mean, he didn't need to declare.
When I saw Tennessee play Kentucky, and I saw Jordan Bone put that work in on him, I was like, yeah, he need to come back, because I believe big time players step up in big time games.
Correct.
And he didn't do that a lot.
No, and you know, he wasn't the typical Kentucky freshman. He wasn't the Anthony Davis, the John Wall. Now, he is a terrific defensive player, and it's bad news for Tennessee that he is returning, because Tennessee has to play him. And I also think it's bad news for Tennessee that Trey Jones decided to return to Duke and that he has decided to return to Kentucky, because that is two more teams that won't be drafting a point guard, which means Jordan Bone and his draft stock just went up a bit.
That can be good for Tennessee.
Well, why is that?
Because if Jordan Bone gets drafted higher.
Well, I'm just talking about in the sense of Jordan Bone staying or going.
Yeah, Jordan. It's good and bad for Tennessee. It's always bad when you lose a good player to the draft, NFL or NBA.
Mm-hmm.
But if that player gets drafted high and he's successful, that helps you get other players. It's like Cordell Patterson. You know, it's like Derek Barnett. It's like any other player who's declared. Yeah, you miss them, but their success in the NFL helps Tennessee. Cool. I remember when Arian Foster was balling in the NFL, and we know his relationship with Tennessee, how it has not always been on the up and up. But those recruits don't know that, and those recruits don't care. All they know is Arian, best back in the league at a time, and he played Tennessee, and it made recruits go, oh, man, let me take a look at Tennessee. So if Jordan Bone improves 2 spots at the point guard position simply because Ashton Hagans and Trey Jones stays, I think that's a positive for Tennessee. But if you got to play against Kentucky and Duke with Trey Jones, Ashton Hagans, that's how it could be a negative. Correct. Because I don't know who's checking those dudes for 40 minutes.
Well,
that's all.
I was just simply based off there's a better likelihood now that Jordan Bone gets drafted because there are 2 less point guards to draft, and we know how important the point guard position is in the NBA. And then B, not only is there a greater chance of him getting drafted now, but assuming his draft stock goes up now. Because now they've taken Trey Jones and Ashton Hagen off the board, and those 2 guys have to be replaced by somebody. But I agree with you. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. But right now, I'm only worried about whether he's coming back or 100% leaving. And then if he does decide to, go pro and stick with it, then I'm on the same page with you. Be drafted as high as possible so Rick Barnes can sell this to the next Josiah James that is coming up.
We did not mention this all week. And this is something that we failed to really mention because it's a really great conversation. Okay, it's happened before at Tennessee, just behind the scenes. It happens more publicly at Alabama because they have so much success with guys leaving and going to the NFL. But Nick Saban was talking about players leaving early and declaring for the NFL draft when they have an extra year, they could return and get more money up front. And he was insinuating and kind of speaking without saying his name on Ronnie Harrison. And Ronnie Harrison was one of the best safeties in the country. He decided to declare, was a 3rd-round pick, and Nick Saban, while talking to the press, was using an example of Ronnie Harrison, did not say his name, about how guys should come back and they got bad advice, blah, 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 blah. And I have never seen a player from Alabama pop back publicly on Nick Saban the way Ronnie Harrison did. And, Ben, you have his quotes pulled up right there because he tweeted out, and use some hashtags.
Keep my name out your mouth. Woo, that is interesting. First, I'll read off Saban's comments. If you're a 3rd-round draft pick, and we had one here last year, I'm not going to say any names, goes and starts for his team, so he's making 3rd-round money, which is not that great, he'd be the first guy taken at the position this year, probably, and make 15 to 18 million more. So the agent makes out, the club makes out, and now they've got a guy that's going to play for that kind of money for 3 more years, which what Saban is saying isn't false. I mean, he's telling the truth. But Ronnie Harrison did not take kind to that, as you mentioned. And Ronnie Harrison tweeted, "Coaches get so butthurt nowadays about a kid making a decision to live out his dreams and go pro. Makes me think, do you really care about the success of the kid or how well your program performs?" He put the shrugging emoji, the 100 emoji, and then hashtag keep my name out your mouth, hashtag Bama, hashtag Saban, hashtag God got it.
Man.
And then, of course, Lane Kiffin had to chime in. Lane Kiffin quote tweeted Ronnie Harrison's tweet and said, if 60 juniors got 2nd and 3rd round grades, how would they all go in the top 15 if they come back? Some come back and go in worse rounds than what their junior grades were. Love when kids leave and fulfill their dreams. What do you say if they get hurt and lose money? Hashtag facts. Hashtag Matt Barkley.
If you had to take one side or the other, you can't. You can't.
No, because it's a case-by-case situation. Everybody's situation is different.
Both guys are right. Nick Saban is right, and Ronnie Harrison is right. The problem is Nick Saban was too specific in the example that he used, even though he didn't use a name. Like, he didn't have to call out Ronnie Harrison like that. He had to do that. He had to do that. That's your guy. You didn't have to go there.
Because people are going to know who you're talking about. It's like if you and I are sitting here trying to throw shade at a different Knoxville radio station, we could say things that would 100% give away who we're talking about.
Yeah, like Saban didn't have to say what he said, but he's true. And then Ronnie, he didn't have to say what he said publicly because both guys are right. Number one, we don't know Ronnie Harrison's injury history, all right? Alabama, they don't have the problem that Tennessee's had with guys being out for a long time and all these surgeries and stuff, things like that. That's why Pruitt made some changes. But the knock on Bama players sometimes is that when they get to the NFL, they are beat up. They are beat up and run down. So we don't know Ronnie Harrison's injury history. We don't know if he was a guy that was like, man, I'm scared to risk it because I've been hurt. We don't know academically where Ronnie is. We've had guys at Tennessee that was like, if I come back to school, I'm not gonna be able to be eligible, so I gotta go. I don't really like college like that. I don't like college. I would rather go to the league and be a third-round pick, have a 3-4 year deal, and get to my second deal quicker than being a first-round pick. Now the money is different. And like it was 7-8 years ago, or whenever Sam Bradford came out and he got that big bag. That big bag is number 1 overall pick. And then it
was
changed.
That 09? I
think it was 12.
I get him and Stafford mixed up.
It was 12.
They remind me of each other.
Because I remember the next year, Jameis Winston was the first overall pick, and his bag was a whole lot smaller than the previous number 1 overall pick because the NFL changed things up so that way it rewarded players who actually were productive already in the league rather than guys who were unproven just getting too much money as a high draft pick.
Right. You really make your money in the NFL on your second contract.
So, like, I understand Ronnie, if he would have had that mentality, man, let me just go ahead and get the second contract. I just think at the end of the day, both are right. Like, you don't want to have a guy get hurt and lose out. My heart broke for Marcus Lattimore. Like, completely shattered. As a Tennessee fan, as an Auburn fan, as an LSU fan, you sitting back, you like, oh, I like this. I like this drama and infighting. But this is something that can really happen anywhere. This can happen in Tennessee. This can happen at Ole Miss, Florida State. This can happen anywhere where a coach has his preference and the player has his preference. It's a really great problem to have, though. Golly, I want some of those problems. Hour 2 coming up here in the Swain Event. Touchdown turnover up next.
At work? Can't call in? Don't feel bad. You can talk to the guys on the text box. It's part of the free Swain Event app.
Today looks to be sunny with a high of 77 and a low of 54. Mostly sunny tomorrow with a high near 78 and a low around 63. Friday, there is a 60% chance of rain with a high in the low to mid 70s. Weather on the Swain Event is brought to you by Be Dry. If your basement is wet or cracked, Be Dry can help. BeDry.com. Top 100 Barbecue Restaurant Dead End BBQ is the best place in Knoxville to get your barbecue fix. With new specials and a new menu, there is something for everyone. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, try the Smokehouse Stew. Thursday through Saturday, the Hillbilly Chili is where it's at. Don't forget the half-off wings on Tuesdays from 4 to 8 p.m. and the salmon plate on Friday. The people spoke and Dead End listened, adding Dead End Society favorites like the Bernie Mac, Randall's Kitchen Sink Burrito, and the Barbecue Cheddar Meatloaf to the menu full time. Whether it's a game day or any day, at Dead End Barbecue, the mouth-watering barbecue search is over.
We have all made the mistake of dropping or breaking our smartphones. See? But did you know that you can have it repaired for a fraction of the cost that it takes to replace it? Well, you can, because iDrop is the area's leading mobile repair store, home of the 1 hour or less phone repair, 1 year parts warranty, and #1 customer service. Broken screens, cracked cameras, charging ports, batteries, you break it, we'll fix it. If you didn't break your phone, protect it with one of our leading accessories such as LifeProof, OtterBox, UAG, Incipico, Caseology, and Spec. Visit our West Hills location at 7115 Kingston Pike between Office Depot and Hardee's, or call 865-888-9740 and speak with our trained technicians to see how we can get your phone working today.
Are you ready to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Then call me, Jennifer Morris, with Keller Williams Realty at 865-694-5904. Listen to what the Townsend family had to say.
After having listed our home with another agent, Jennifer's marketing approach was a breath of fresh air. She priced our home competitively, strategized the best time to list, and began planning our open house. She aggressively negotiated with the buyer and kept us informed during the entire process. Jennifer took away the stress of selling our home, and we would not hesitate to use her again in the future.
Are you ready to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Then call me, Jennifer Morris, with Keller Williams Realty at 865-694-5904.
When you see the happy face on our truck, you'll be smiling because you'll know that you're in love.
It's freezing in here, Mary. What's wrong with your heater?
The repairman can't get here till next week.
Sugar, you've got the wrong guy. My guy is fast and has free heating service calls when he does the repair.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Hiller. Take advantage of a free service call with any repair.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
If you aren't following the Swain Event on Twitter, then are you even on Twitter? Hit that follow button. It's the right thing to do.
Check, 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 check. Orange barrel, reroute. Check, check. Blue 42, opposite. We have a little audible at the line of scrimmage. We will have Tony Vitello on here in a few minutes. Instead of 8:30, it will be like in a few, probably like 60 to 90 seconds because of some scheduling conflicts, and so we're gonna have them on sooner here on the Swain Event. 865-200-5503 B-Dry Waterproofing Hotline. Man, they are lighting it up right now. Tennessee baseball is what appears to be ahead of schedule with this program. Ahead of schedule. I mean, I'm surprised one of the home runs didn't hit my house yesterday. They were smacking the ball all over the place. Every time I looked up, Tennessee baseball Twitter account was updating us on another home run. My goodness. Tennessee baseball right now ahead of schedule, and we are joined now by head baseball coach Tony Vitello. Tony, good morning, Coach.
Morning to y'all.
Man, thank you so much for joining us. So happy to see the start of the season right now. And my first question is, it feels like you're ahead of schedule, man, when you took the job and kind of looked at the short-term goals and the long-term goals. I'm sure those long-term goals included, a target date of, hey, we want to be here at this certain time. Do you feel like that you are ahead of schedule right now?
Yeah, I think if you include everything that's involved with the program, I mean, obviously you want to just kind of focus on this year's team, and the thing that gets highlighted the most by you folks is how the team is doing, which is right, but there's a lot of other things behind the scenes, facilities, relationships with either fans or donors, involvement in the community, recruiting, which happens so early in our sport. You don't necessarily see the fruits of that until a couple, 3 years down the road. But all in all, I feel like we've made more progress than I expected, and hopefully that shows up in the win and loss column as we move forward.
Coach, you took 1 of 3 against Vanderbilt. You took 1 of 3 against Mississippi State. And from the outside looking in, some people would view that as an accomplishment, just kind of where the baseball program is right now. But after Sunday's loss to Mississippi State, you kind of mentioned that you're not here for participation trophies, for second-place trophies. How do you make sure the players are buying into that and not kind of just listening to what people are saying on the outside?
I think they are. I mean, this time of year, we've kind of talked about we're past the halfway point. It's time for them to lead, just as much as the coaches do, at least in some areas. And they need to take ownership of what their standards are. And I think their standards are higher than, just being competitive in the league. And being competitive in the league by those new standards means if you can finish 500, it was a hell of a year. That's the same for really every program across the board. But being in games or just taking 1 out of 3 from a top 5 team, that isn't what we're really looking to do. And, we talk about long-term goals, and it's tough to point out when are we going to be able to say that. Well, I think it's safe to say right now. And maybe putting that out there sets us up for disappointment later, or maybe putting it out there makes everyone raise their standards a little bit, like I said, and we end up achieving more than expected.
I don't want this to sound like a dumb question, because I think if I'm not careful, it will come off as a dumb question. I think when you look at the record right now versus the record last year, if I ask, hey, what's the difference, Coach? You're gonna say, well, we're scoring more runs, we're winning. But what's been the change from this year, from last year that folks don't see? Because it's easy to see the box score, it's easy to see the success, but what's something that as a coach that you can say that you see the difference in that the public may not see the difference?
Well, I think the thing that is tougher for them to see or measure is the toughness. I think we have some young kids that, even though they're not incredibly physical in the uniform yet because they are younger, they're tough kids and they like competition and they expect to win. And the returning players probably came in that way too, but the league can beat you down if you let it. And I think that was kind of the environment we were in a little bit last year of guys maybe not having the belief level, the toughness level, or the expectations that we talked about earlier. And those incomers, they have it. And it's been a nice blend of guys that have survived and are, 3-year starters or third-year participating in the program, and then some of these new guys. And that blend has been nice to see, and they've gotten along well, and there's a level of toughness. Now, the thing I think people have commented on that I can see visually, and the public can too, is our strength coach has made an incredible difference in the athleticism we have with our guys. I mean, you recruit athleticism, but then you also build it up. I remember seeing Admiral's before and after pictures of when he was a freshman and now, and that's an extreme example because he's so physical. But our guys look lean, they move well, they're athletic, and I don't think we had that last year, in part recruiting a little bit, but mainly because this is our strength coach's first year with our guys, and he's incredible at what he does.
Joined by head baseball coach Tony Vitello here on the Swain Event. Coach, this weekend is going to be a big weekend for Tennessee athletics. Every spring sport feels like it has a home game or home event, and then you throw in the spring game. How much does the baseball program benefit from the spring game and having all the fans on campus? And then with you all playing Georgia, what challenges do Georgia present?
We saw it in Nashville when we played Vanderbilt. They had their home game, and rain allowed them to butt up the game literally 30 minutes right after their spring game, and it helped their crowd. At Mississippi State, they call it Super Bulldog Weekend. Baum Stadium was always the biggest crowd of the year. So every SEC program benefits from that day. And, sometimes you might get it where it doesn't land on a home game. And we're just incredibly thankful that it does, because I know Coach Pruitt has rallied up a lot of folks to come fill Neyland Stadium, and it's going to be like that. And if we can just get a little bit of carryover from that game, it's going to give us a boost, because we did not have that against Mississippi State. We just had our quote-unquote regular crowd, and I literally think that was the difference in that one-run game that we competed against Mississippi State. And then Georgia, they bring as good of a defense as ours. I think two of the best defenses in the SEC will be on display. Both teams have been explosive offensively and also have a diversified offense where maybe you can scratch and claw for some runs. So I think there's kind of an even matchup there. But their pitching has been incredible. And ours has had our moments too, but the challenges that you mentioned really are going to start on the mound for us, and it's going to be 3 really big arms coming at us, a lot of velocity out of those guys, and it all starts tomorrow night against Emerson Hancock, who I've mentioned several times as a front runner to be the first pick of the draft when he's a junior. He's just a sophomore now.
Coach, you mentioned a diversified offense. Before the season, you kind of joked that you didn't expect for your offense to hit a ton of home runs or at least win you baseball games. But yesterday, they hit a program-tying 7 in a game. I mean, did they maybe mess with you about joking about the home run ball before the season after yesterday's game?
No, I don't know if they're making me look dumb or smart because I'm in the dugout with them when they're hitting them. But, I don't think it was our expectation. And, hitting comes and goes. I'm a big believer in that. And I think yesterday was a lot of determination that stemmed from a difficult loss on Sunday against Mississippi State. Some really good vibes we had going on with Colton Underwood's legacy foundation that he had participants in our dugout, and it was just a really cool scene. And then I think the guys were just more relaxed. I mean, for whatever reason, they put into play what we asked them to do is take carefree swings. That's what works, instead of the tension-filled swings that popped up too often against Mississippi State. So whatever it is, that formula is a winning formula, whether it's an SEC game or non-conference game. So look forward to seeing that tomorrow night. And I don't think they give me trouble about it to my face, but I know that group likes being challenged. So anytime they're questioned on how well they can do something or if they can do it at all, they compete with the situation.
Coach, as a player yourself now running your own program, you understand that there's a time for play, there's a time for work, and there's also a time to kind of mix both. And we've seen with the basketball team how they've done a really good job of doing that, and then the media department doing a really good job of showing us how these athletes at the end of the day, they're still young men. They still have fun. They're not robots. And I got to ask you about this squirrel, Coach, because, I mean, where I'm from, when you walk up on a squirrel, it's not going to let you pick it up. It's going to run away. But, I mean, you guys have this rally squirrel. You got your players picking up squirrels and feeding it and acting like it's like their baby. Like, how did this happen?
One of many things, and if you look across the sport, and I don't mean to be too judgmental, but there's a little too much of manufacturing personality, if that makes sense. Teams trying a little too hard or are doing things that, I'm not necessarily a big fan of. But even in old school baseball, or even if you're just going to kind of go when I was younger, you look at a team like the Phillies when they had Darren Dalton and crazy old Lenny Dykstra and some of those guys, John Crook. It's just the best teams seem to have a ton of personality, and I think it all starts with just being comfortable in your own skin. And we use, Joe Madden is actually kind of on the hot seat, so there's a topic for you. But I think he allowed some of those guys like Jake Arrieta and Rizzo to really let their personality shine. And, we try not to restrict our guys. I mean, they definitely have to get to work when it's time to get to work. But our work day is much longer than any other sport. And that doesn't mean it's tougher. It just means it's longer by nature of our sport. So if you're going to spend all those hours up at the facility, and there is a lot of downtime with our game, you need to fill it with some fun. But it can't be goofiness or silliness to the point where it's a distraction and you don't handle your business. It needs to contribute to what you're trying to do. And as you mentioned, basketball had the magic formula for that. And I think these guys have done all kinds of stuff all year long. I don't know where the bead started. I don't know that I want to know either. But they've kind of added some things to the program that might be staples from here on out, or they may just be unique to this club, which I think is going to do some special things.
Coach, we were talking before we had you on here, and it feels like with the addition, Kelly Harper and the Lady Vols, and then Rick Barnes deciding to stay here in Knoxville, it feels like all the big sports on campus and then even the smaller sports are all moving in a positive direction. There's a lot of positive energy about all the sports on campus. Can you sense that as well?
Yeah, it's a special time, and I honestly had a recruit's father say, say no more, because I kind of was coming out of my chair trying to fight the whole, I didn't want it to sound like a sales pitch, hey, it's a great time to be a Vol. I mean, everyone's going to use that phrase in recruiting, but was trying to express to him since Coach Fulmer took the helm, the seas kind of calmed at first. And then after that, it was like a lightning bolt hit the seas, and all kinds of things and positive energy started to get in the air. And I think all things, Vols are going in the right direction. I mean, I could go on and on to use examples, but just in generality, it's a phenomenal time. And I think people in the state are really excited, and all sports affect one another. Coach Fulmer always used his time as an example. A lot of sports were helping each other out, and a lot of sports were doing great things, in the era of people like Pat Summitt.
I don't know how much time the head coaches here spend with each other, but Pruitt has said that, men's basketball has kind of helped him and helped his program with recruiting, and it's been really cool when basketball is on, and in the Pruitt house, they get up for it. If you're spending time with Coach Barnes, how has maybe Coach Barnes helped you or give you any nuggets that will help you be a better baseball coach, in your opinion?
Well, Coach Barnes was around Augie Garrido, who at the time of his passing was the winningest coach ever in college baseball. And so just passing along some of the stories about Augie from their time at Texas has been beneficial. But also Coach Barnes, he's smart. He knows what he's doing. He'll drop in some subtle things that he learned, maybe overemphasizing something so much that players think about it too much, and instead of improving upon it, they almost kind of mentally harp on it and go backwards. That was one of the last topics we had talked about, and it wasn't like he was trying to, go out of his way and say, hey, I've won a lot of games, listen to what I got to say to you. Mm-hmm. It was more just in the flow of conversation, and like I said, he's smart enough to know what he's doing. I'm young and still at times dumb, and I'll take all the advice I can get, especially from a guy like that. But really the best thing Coach Barnes does, along with some other coaches on campus, is do what they do. And whether they know it or not, I am trying to learn. And I go to the games because I'm a fan, but I'm also observing and trying to get better. So it's a very fortunate situation to be around some of the coaches that I get to be around, and we seem to keep adding great ones.
One thing that you have that neither Rick Barnes or myself have, and that's an awesome beard, Coach. I mean, that beard, you're rocking it, man. You're rocking it.
Much to the chagrin of my sisters and mom, but it's the longest it's ever been, and I guess it's my version of showing a little personality with this year's team.
Wrapping up with Tennessee head baseball coach Tony Vitello. Coach, you've got the new turf field that has been big this season with the rainouts and the weather at the beginning of the year, and you've had some updates to the locker room. What is the next step for Tennessee baseball off the field in terms of trying to get it to where it belongs in the SEC?
When the season's over, we're going to pick up where we left off and finish off some things, like the weight room got expanded as well, and there's been some new equipment in there, but we need to paint in there. Our team lounge where the guys hang out is kind of 50% done. We had a donor step up and is going to help kind of build a kitchen area in there, which would be huge for us. So those are, I don't want to say small things, but those are big chunks of the puzzle kind of getting put together, but it's nothing major that the fans will be able to see like the turf. The next major thing is that left field area, which is the beloved porch area, as it should be. We don't want to lose that cool, unique vibe we have out there, and it's kind of a blue-collar setup where people are relaxed and can watch baseball. But it's a popular seat that's high in demand. We need to expand seating, and we also need to dress it up a little bit. So I think that left field gate kind of entrance, as well as that left field porch area, is going to get done in a first-class manner, but still kind of keep it traditional to what we've had at Lindsey Nelson. So looking forward to doing it, and it's tough to point out the people or recognize everyone that's helping us, but people seem to keep stepping up, and maybe it's because the kids are doing well on the field and doing things like they did last night.
Keep rocking, Coach. Thanks so much for your time. I know you got to run. I really, really appreciate the minutes that you gave us today on the show, man. Doing a great job, and good luck this weekend.
Yeah, great to be on, guys. I appreciate you working with the busy schedule. We're trying to do everything we can to get ready for this weekend, but no support will go unthanked. I can tell you that. Last weekend was huge for us, and we look to increase our crowd.
Let's do it. It's going to be a special weekend this weekend.
All right,
Thank you so much, Coach. Good stuff from Coach Vitello. Really appreciate his time here on the show. You could just tell, I mean, just from last year, his first year, and kind of laying down what needs to happen from a facility standpoint. We've seen some moves being made with the turf field, and they're going to continue to make upgrades. The results on the field, for some folks, they've exceeded expectations at this point in Tony Vitello's tenure. And so,
if they haven't exceeded expectations, then those people don't pay attention at all. This is a 5-year rebuild. I mean, a legitimate 4 or 5 year rebuild, and he is way ahead of schedule.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach, for the time. We will take a short time out and I'll be back after these messages. Swain Event, fueled by Dead End BBQ.
Touchdown or turnover is up next on the Swain Event.
When I made the move to my own studio, I was worried about this. I was worried about that. I was worried about, hey, did I get this piece of equipment? Did I get that piece of equipment? Does that sound good? Does that not sound good? One thing I didn't have to worry about, that was office furniture, because Office Furniture Outfitters met my furniture needs. With a 50,000 square foot facility, they have East Tennessee's largest selection and are the best value for new and used office furniture. Located in Knoxville, it's easy to find everything you need for your new space, including desks, file cabinets, chairs, conference tables, and more. Office Furniture Outfitters is turnkey. They came to my place, we mapped everything out that was needed, they delivered, and get this, set everything up. To learn more about what Office Furniture Outfitters can do for you, log on to OFOKnox.com. That's OFOKnox.com.
In debt? In too deep? Alcoa 10 Federal Credit Union says, stop treading water and get out of the deep end. If you've got debt, make a splash and come get some cash. If Alcoa 10 Federal Credit Union can refinance your car, boat, camper, motorcycle, credit cards, personal or home loan, they'll pay you up to $500. So come take the plunge right now. Refinance your loans. Alcoa 10 Federal Credit Union will pay you. 5 convenient locations. Visit atfcu.com. Equal housing lender.
Touchdown or turnover is backed by Alcoa 10 Federal Credit Union, a place where you belong.
Touchdown turnover backed by Alcoa 10 Federal Credit Union, a place where you belong. Better rates and better service. 865-200-5503 is our telephone number to the B Dry Waterproofing Hotline. Man, oh man, oh man. Yesterday, there was a video that was circulating. I'm not sure who tweeted it out, but I did quote tweet. I just don't have it pulled up right now. But it was a video of.
Are you talking about the Jared Garantano one?
Correct.
Jordan Kramer.
Yes.
I believe that's how you pronounce her last name.
Correct. And it was a video of practice, and the quarterbacks were changing sides of the field because I'm imagining it was routes versus air, if it's video, and quarterbacks throw to the receivers, and the receivers catch it and get upfield, and then the quarterbacks switch sides to do the same thing opposite direction. So Brian Maurer, freshman quarterback, was running, jogging to the side, and had his head down a little bit, and Jared kind of guided the bottom of his face mask to make sure he had his head up. And we don't know what personally goes on with the student athlete during the course of a day. We don't know. We don't know what news a student athlete has gotten. We don't know if it's playing hurt, playing sick, didn't have a lot of sleep the night before because they were studying for a test, and they just dragging that practice. You just never know. But Jared kind of just guided his face mask up to get his head up. Touchdown turnover. Leadership for Jared is like the last piece to allow him to be a better quarterback here at Tennessee. Leadership is the last piece, or the missing piece of the puzzle, to allow him to be a really good quarterback here at Tennessee. Touchdown turnover.
Before I answer that, we have a little bit of breaking news. So, but as we know, Rob Lanier took off for Georgia State, leaving an assistant coach opening for Tennessee. And according to Grant Ramey of GoVols, such a beautiful sound. It really is. I really like that sound. So dramatic. According to Grant Ramey of GoVols 247, Colorado assistant Kim English is finalizing a deal to join Tennessee staff in Knoxville. He is a 30 years old, native of Baltimore, played at Missouri from 2008 to 2012 before starting his professional career with the Pistons as a second-round pick in the 2012 NBA draft. So played overseas, and then he started coaching at Tulsa in 2015, spent 2 seasons there, and then moved on to Colorado in 2017. So he just spent the previous 2 seasons at Colorado. I have no earthly idea how good Kim English is, but I imagine if he is 30 years old and Rick Barnes is trusting him, I'm not going to say trusting him to replace Rob Lanier, because Rob Lanier is not going to be, I imagine Michael Schwartz or Desmond Oliver will move into the Rob Lanier role, and then Kim English will go to the bottom of the totem pole. But 30 years old, he must be an up-and-coming coach that is really well respected if he's 30 years old getting a big-time coaching job. So we can talk about that a little later. With your touchdown or turnover is the leadership quality, the last thing that is missing with Tennessee redshirt junior quarterback Jarrett Garantano. That's a tough question for me to answer, because I want to say no, because I almost feel like him recognizing defenses is something that he still really needs to improve on more. Because I don't. Has Jarrett gotten better at leading over the course of the spring? Absolutely, especially when you listen to Jeremy Pruitt talk. But I never thought he was a bad leader to begin with. And again, I never thought that Jarrett Garantano was bad at reading defenses, as some want to make him out to be. But there's a lot of room for growth there. I think more room for growth in that department rather than in the leadership department. So for that reason, I'll say turnover, just to answer the question. But to your point and kind of what you're getting at, the most important quality of a quarterback is their leadership ability, at least in terms of aside from their football traits. So it's a huge step that he has taken this spring, and it's been really cool to watch.
I'm gonna say touchdown, and here's the reason why. You first have to lead your room. That's the first place where you have to take command, and that's your meeting room. Okay, so receivers, you gotta have that leader in the room that everyone follows. That leader sets the standard of how you're gonna practice, how you're gonna prepare, how you're gonna carry yourself. You have that leader in the room. It could be any position on the football field. It could be linebackers with the linebacker room, D-line with the D-line room, running backs with the running back room, whatever. So first you gotta lead your room first. And then you lead your unit. So if you're an offensive player, you're a leader with your unit. If you're a defensive player, you're a leader with your unit. And then you are a person that everyone looks up to. When you speak, people listen, and you lead by example. And you also lead vocally, and people listen to you when you talk. And then you lead the entire team. And for Jared, for me, that's the last piece, because he's going to be better at reading defenses because he has Jim Chaney.
Mhm.
Like, he's going to be better there because Jim Chaney's ability to explain the passing game and explain how to play the position, I think, is why we saw Tyler Bray, as immature as he was, with physical tools, have the success that he had. Jim Chaney was a blessing in Tyler Bray's life because Tyler Bray was able to go to the NFL, be paired up with Andy Reid, even though he was immature at Tennessee. Man, he got some valuable knowledge from Jim Chaney that allowed him to be able to stick to this day in the NFL. For Jared, let's think about kind of each year he's been here. The first year he was here, he was a freshman and was told that he was going to play as a true freshman. And so he had the expectation. Wasn't like bitter, upset that he wasn't playing because Josh Dobbs was lighting the world on fire, but he took it as an opportunity to learn from Josh Dobbs and was supportive as you can be as a backup quarterback. And we saw that. We didn't have any issues. We didn't see anything out of the norm. And then the next year was 2017 and the Georgia Tech game, and we saw Jared on the sideline, and that was a national discussion. Everyone brought it up, whatever. So since then, we kind of know what happened and how dysfunctional that relationship was in the quarterback room. And then Tennessee, last year, they get themselves a new head coach. We get ourselves a grad transfer quarterback in Keller Christ. And Jared appears to welcome Keller Christ with open arms. And that relationship was good again. Jared was part of, he's been part of 3 seasons where he's had relationships with other quarterbacks in the room. And all of them has been positive except for with Quentin Dormady. Last year, after what happened in 2017 with kind of the locker room being split and Butch Jones kind of being a huge part of why that happened, for Jared last year was just about, man, getting dudes on his side again.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting dudes on his side.
I think you've mentioned it on the show, but Jawan Jennings was huge friends with Quentin Dormady.
He was a Dormady guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had guys who were Jared guys, you had Dormady guys. And so last year, he was just trying to get guys on his side. And sometimes when you're in that position, you can try too hard. Like, you can try way too hard and kind of get outside yourself. When what you should do is just kind of be yourself and let it come naturally. But that's a tough position to be in, man. It's really tough. I've never seen a quarterback put in that position that Jared was in 17. Now, Jared has the same coach for 2 years in a row. He does have a new offensive coordinator for the 4th time. But he had a year where Tennessee does not beat Auburn if it wasn't for him. They don't beat Kentucky if it wasn't for him.
He wasn't the problem against South Carolina.
Correct.
I think he was 16 of 22 that game, had a really good game. The offense wasn't the problem. Defense gets a stop. Tennessee wins that football game, goes to a bowl game.
Yeah. You're going to get critics here at Tennessee as a quarterback. So you understand that. You embrace it. He's been working with his quarterback coach. I think Jared is more confident now than he's ever been. And the positive energy that he's putting out is going to come back. It's kind of like a boomerang. And instead of being threatened by competition,
he's embracing it.
You embracing competition and helping dudes in your room. Other people see that and they go, okay, yeah, that's a real leader. That's a dude who cares more about the success of the team than just himself.
Marquez Callaway is going to see that and then walk over to Ramel Keaton and help him. Dominic Wood Anderson is going to see that and then walk over to Jackson Lowe and help him.
Yes.
Trey Smith is going to see that and walk over to Wanye Morris and Chris Progone and help them.
Yeah.
It's a trickle-down effect.
The thing about Casey Clausen, and I wish I had Casey for more than 1 year, man. I really wish I played longer with Casey. Because after my playing days, I see it now, especially that I had other quarterbacks I played with, and I compared them to Casey. No one compares to Casey when it comes to this. When you enter the huddle, and Casey says, "Here's a play, let's get it done," you don't have any doubts. Like, you don't have any doubts that Casey's going to get it done, that Casey's going to make the play, that he's scared, that he's nervous, that he's going to make the wrong play because of effort. Now, Casey wasn't perfect, but man, when you can look in your quarterback's eyes and have 100% confidence in him and trust in him,
it rubs off on you.
It rubs off on you, and people may not understand this, but those little things matter. Like, those little things that build up over time, it's the difference between winning and losing. That stuff matters, people. It matters. It matters. This team, this basketball team, lost one person last year?
Yes, James Daniel. Well, technically two, because Chris Darrington transferred. Which, never mind, I won't go there. Side tangent.
Lost one or two, one productive player. And then they, did what they did this basketball season. And everyone's like, well, it's just about putting the ball in the basket. No, it's a little bit more than that. It's about the time that you spend with each other and knowing about each other. It's being able to finish each other's sentences. It's knowing what motivates and drives your teammates. When we went through our season in 05, we had probably a more talented team than 06. And I remember some exercises and things that we did. We started to learn about each other more. I remember we were down in the stadium in the locker room, and Xavier Mitchell stood up because John Chavis, Coach Fulmer, were giving guys platforms to stand up and talk about themselves as a person. And Xavier stood up and told his story about how he got to Tennessee from Mississippi. See, roommates hear that story. If you room with someone, you know that about your roommate. But sometimes the whole team, they don't know your story.
Too many guys.
Too many guys, man. Too many guys. And you flowing and going, lunch, dinner. You're not sitting there chopping it up for 30, 45 minutes like that. But Xavier got up one day, and we were giving other guys platform too. I think David Yancey got up as well and started just sharing their story. And Xavier shared a story about how he grew up without his father and his mom doing everything, sacrificing. And he basically was laying out his reasons why. Like, why he's here, why he's giving this game everything that he has, why this team was important to him, why Tennessee was important to him, and his goals. Him sharing that with us, him sharing his goals with us, made it easier for us to hold him accountable when he fell short on some days or a rep in the weight room. It made us want to play hard for our brother to help him achieve his goal, because his goal was kind of like our goal. Some of the things that he grew up with or without was some of the things that we grew up with or without. And so we were able to identify with him. That sometimes is a difference with a team that people who just watch the game, they have no idea about. When I saw that clip, it reminded me of those times, because for me, that's the last little piece for Jared. I think he's going to get the X's and O's part because of Jim Chaney. And Jared's a smart dude. It's the leadership from the quarterback position that I think will make a difference in a game this year. And you don't think that's important? We're talking about a game. That could be the difference between going to a ball game and not going to a ball game.
The difference in converting a 4th and 1 and not converting a 4th and 1. Or a 3rd and 7 that you have to get with the game on the line.
Yeah. I mean, there was times I lined up at wide receiver and I did my job, but I didn't have full confidence that the quarterback was going to do his. And there was times that I did line up at wide receiver, and I had 100% confidence that the quarterback was going to do his job, and I believed in him 100%. And those things make a difference. If I felt that way, I know 10 other dudes felt that way too, or 9 other dudes felt that way. So this is a big deal. I'm not going to sit here and guarantee that Tennessee's going to win a lot of games just because of that clip.
12-0.
Because you still got to go execute. But those little things matter, and it also need to be highlighted. So I'm gonna say touchdown. Yeah. I think that's the last little piece for Jared.
Yeah, it was a cool moment to see that during practice yesterday, because Brian Maurer was not having the greatest of practices, and Brian Maurer will make a good throw but then he'll follow it up with maybe 2 bad throws, 2 errant throws. And it's not like it looks like he just doesn't belong on a football field at the college level. It's more so of him trying to adapt to how quick the receivers are. Like maybe he's throwing it too far behind them or a little too far out in front. It's just like he's struggling to adapt to the speed of college football. And he flashes that arm, but he's really battling consistency in practice right now. And having a guy like Jarrett Garantano has to be good for a young guy in his situation, an early enrollee, somebody who coming out of high school was doubted because of the level of competition in Florida, and he gets here and maybe he's struggling to be consistent. Having a guy like Jarrett Garantano who can build you up, I mean, it just has to be very encouraging. And JT Shrout also does a good job. I've seen JT Shrout even walk over to Brian Maurer, even though he's only a year older, and say, yo, keep your head up, or just communicating in general. So it's been cool to see the quarterback room be won after all the quarterback drama we had when Riley Ferguson was here, and then the quarterback drama we had when Quentin Dormady was here as well. Yeah.
That stuff matters. It matters a lot. And I'm not going to sit here and overhype. It's not going to be the reason why Tennessee's going to win. You still got to go execute. You got to go make plays. But your teammates having confidence in you does have an impact. CFB_professor, who does some great work with a good friend of the show, Dave Bartu. He put out a projected record for Tennessee based on his formulas.
Let me guess, it's based off all the fake 4 stars that Butch Jones signed. Is it a bad record or good record? If it's a good record, it's based off all the fake 4 stars that Butch Jones signed.
I'll tell you after the break.
Sounds like a plan.
I'll tell you after the break. It ain't that bad. I'll let you know when we return. Swain Event.
While the other guys are taking guesses, the Swain Event is taking you behind the scenes and in the huddle every morning from 7 till 10 right here.
We're here with Dr. Mike Carlson of Tennessee Regenerative Sports Medicine. If you have orthopedic injuries such as shoulder pain, knee pain, or instability, Achilles tendonitis, golfers, or tennis elbow, do what I did and give them a call.
Yeah, Jason, we specialize in regenerative non-surgical orthopedics. So we treat damaged ligaments, tendons, and joints, including things like rotator cuff injuries, knee instability, elbow problems, as well as foot problems like plantar fasciitis, Achilles, things of that nature, by injecting with stem cells and what's called PRP, or platelet-rich plasma. And this form of treatment we do under ultrasound, so we know we have our target. And it also stimulates the body's own reparative process, and this allows for the healing of damaged tissue. And as you well know, I mean, numerous professional and collegiate athletes, guys like Steph Curry, Tiger Woods, and even yourself with your ankle injury, have been using this form of treatment for years. And so we offer that same type of treatment here in East Tennessee.
Visit them on the web at trsportsmedicine.com. Tennessee Regenerative Sports Medicine, East Tennessee's leader in regenerative therapy.
Top 100 Barbecue restaurant Dead End BBQ is the best place in Knoxville to get your barbecue fix. With new specials and a new menu, there is something for everyone. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, try the Smokehouse Stew. Thursday through Saturday, the Hillbilly Chili is where it's at. Don't forget the half-off wings on Tuesdays from 4 to 8 p.m. and the salmon plate on Friday. The people spoke and Dead End listened, adding Dead End Society favorites like the Bernie Mac, Randall's Kitchen Sink Burrito, and the Barbecue Cheddar Meatloaf to the menu full time. Whether it's a game day or any day, at Dead End BBQ, the mouth-watering barbecue search is over.
We have all made the mistake of dropping or breaking our smartphones. See? But did you know that you can have it repaired for a fraction of the cost that it takes to replace it? Well, you can, because iDrop is the area's leading mobile repair store, home of the 1 hour or less phone repair, 1-year parts warranty, and #1 customer service. Broken screens, cracked cameras, charging ports, batteries, you break it, we'll fix it. If you didn't break your phone, protect it with one of our leading accessories such as LifeProof, OtterBox, UAG, Incipico, Caseology, and Spec. Visit our West Hills location at 7115 Kingston Pike between Office Depot and Hardee's, or call 865-888-9740 and speak with our trained technicians to see how we can get your phone working today.
Are you ready to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Then call me, Jennifer Morris, with Keller Williams Realty at 865-694-5904. Listen to what the Townsend family had to say.
After having listed our home with another agent, Jennifer's marketing approach was a breath of fresh air. She priced our home competitively, strategized the best time to list, and began planning our open house. She aggressively negotiated with the buyer and kept us informed during the entire process. Jennifer took away the stress of selling our home, and we would not hesitate to use her again in the future.
Are you ready to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Then call me, Jennifer Morris, with Keller Williams Realty at 865-694-5904.
When you see the happy face on our truck, you'll be smiling because you'll know that you're in love.
It's freezing in here, Mary. What's wrong with your heater?
The repairman can't get here till next week.
Sugar, you've got the wrong guy. My guy is fast and has free heating service calls when he does the repair.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Hiller. Take advantage of a free service call with any repair.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
I just wanted to come by and congratulate you on the great work you've been doing.
I like your style. You remind me of a young me.
Failure is not an option.
That boy is good.
Homes, remind yourself, nobody built like you. You design yourself.
Attaboy.
All right, it's time for Attaboy, where we highlight positive stories here on the Swain Event, 8:50 a.m., 100.9 FM, Rocky Top Sports. Swain Event fueled by Dead End BBQ, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. My Attaboy goes to Dwayne Wade, and not just because he's retiring. He played his last regular season game last night, dropped 30-plus points in their victory over the 76ers, which is a really good playoff team, a team that can actually go to the finals this year. So that's a good send-off for Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade has won championship 3 times there with Miami. They've called Dade County Wade County because of his impact in the community, but Budweiser put out a video for Dwayne Wade. They had him standing inside of the arena. The arena was empty, and throughout the season, Dwayne Wade has swapped jerseys with someone on the opposite team. So Miami played the Lakers, he swapped jerseys with LeBron James, or when they played like the Rockets, he swapped jerseys with Chris Paul, or he played the Wizards, he swapped jerseys with Bradley Beal. So he has this wall of jerseys of guys that he's gotten, and they've signed them for him. And in return, they have Dwayne Wade's jersey. Well, this Budweiser commercial had Dwayne Wade there in mid-court, and they brought in what seemed to be like random people coming in to swap a jersey with Dwayne Wade. But it was people that Dwayne Wade had touched during his career as an NBA player because of his work outside, his work inside the community, excuse me. It started off with a gentleman that said, "Hey man, I come from a place where many people don't get out of, and because of your contributions, and I'm able to go to school." And then it had a young lady that brother was killed in the Highland Park shootings, and Dwayne Wade had wrote the young man's name on his shoe to honor him and honor his family. And she let him know how much that meant to her. And she was graduating, and so she wanted him to understand how special he was and is. And then Dwayne Wade's mother came out, and Dwayne Wade's mother battled some serious addictions when Dwayne Wade was little. They're from Chicago, and she was kind of in and out of Dwayne's life. She went to prison, and Dwayne Wade's love never stopped, never wavered. She gave her life to the Lord, and she's a preacher. And so Dwayne Wade bought her a church and built a church for her. So she's going on the video saying, you don't understand the thousands of people that we've been able to help because of you. And the video is just, oh my God, it's well put together. It'll have you crying and wondering if the allergies are the reason why you're crying. But I just want to give an attaboy to Dwayne Wade because of the way he's carried himself as a professional athlete, the people that he's touched, and a wonderful, wonderful NBA career. So he gets my attaboy for today, and also Grant Williams for how he's carried himself since he evolved so far, whether he leaves or stays. I was really proud as an alum of how he carried himself yesterday in his press conference, letting people know that, yes, he is in fact going to declare for the NBA draft, but he's going to take advantage of all the rule changes that the NCAA has laid down, allowing him to sign with the agent. He's going to sign with the agent and get feedback from the NBA. And if it's not what he needed to be, then he'll return. If it is, then he'll stay. So really proud of how Grant handled himself and answered tough questions about his coach potentially going to UCLA. I thought Grant had a pros moment yesterday. It was really cool to see.
I did as well. And on the Grant Williams note, I am going to give a for what to Ashley Neville because 5 to 10.
Whoa. It's not for what yet. This is attaboy.
But I don't know if we're going to get to for what.
We'll get to
okay. I'll make sure we get to for what.
This is positivity. This is all positive.
Well, I was just gonna mention it and then keep it moving. But my attaboy goes to 2 former Vols, 1 former basketball Vol, and then one former football player. The football player being Jakob Johnson, who signed with the Patriots practice squad. He had been playing overseas, I believe in Germany, playing, and he worked out with the Patriots and earned himself a spot on the practice squad. So congratulations to Jakob Johnson. We had him on last summer for about 20 minutes. Or Swain ran up my international phone bill. We had to call him on my phone. I can't remember why we had to do. I had to FaceTime him or Skype him or something like that because he is overseas.
No, you just called him. We just called him and put him in put him on the line a different way. That's what happened.
I think he called me, and that's why. I don't know. It was something. There was some funky reason, but attaboy to Jakob Johnson. Pretty cool that the Patriots of all teams decided to sign him. And then how about Jordan McRae, the Orange Mamba, or now the Wizardy Mamba?
He's always Orange Mamba.
But now he's got another Mamba. He's like the Orange Mamba and the Wizardy Mamba because the Washington Wizards signed him to a contract. He had been on a 2-way deal with the Washington Wizards, going up and down with the G League. I believe he made the first team, G League team. I mean, he was absolutely killing it in the G League. He's one of those fringe players where he's too good for the G League, and then he's kind of like the 12th or 13th spot on an NBA roster. So if there was a league in between, he would be perfect for it. Yeah. But very cool to see the Washington Wizards re-sign him to another contract.
Let's get to the phones this morning, 865-250-5503. Let's first get to Volstorm. Volstorm, good morning.
Leave it to Ben to run 2 segments at the same time.
Well, see, I was confused. You called in, so I thought it was the for what segment.
What else is new? You're confused.
No, I thought since you called in, I thought it was the for what segment.
We can't mix in for what and attaboy. Well, for what's coming up soon. Don't worry about that.
Well, we haven't really, and it's my fault, but we haven't done it. Go ahead. Sorry.
I said for what? Every time Ben speaks.
I mean, we all know there's several people that feel that way, so you're not lying.
What about your boy going to the Raiders and all that talk?
Ooh.
And how that's going to implode.
My boy.
Yeah, your boy, AB.
Nah, my boy is Juju Smith-Schuster, the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Oh, Lord.
Actually, I take that back. Justin Hunter, former Tennessee Vol and Pittsburgh Steelers receiver, the best receiver in the league.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, how long do you think before Dwayne Wade sells those jerseys on eBay?
I don't think he needs any money. I think he's good. I think he's good.
The real question is how long before Antonio Brown chokes out Derek Carr?
Somebody's gonna choke him out.
How long before he chokes out Chucky?
Yeah, I mean, no.
John Gruden and Antonio Brown going to throw hands in the middle of a game this season.
Yeah, somebody's gonna choke him out. That's what's gonna happen. It might be somebody on defense or maybe an offensive lineman.
Antonio Brown is probably lucky that the Raiders traded Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack would have been the guy to do it.
I was fixing to say, it's not going to be anybody on defense because Gruden got rid of all their best players.
Hey, you don't have to be much. You don't have to be a good player to know how to choke somebody out. You can be a backup defensive end, never play, but be the best person on the team and choking other folks out. So Antonio Brown better tread lightly because the NFL players look at Antonio Brown a whole lot differently now that he was petty and did what he did to Juju Smith-Schuster with that Instagram post of basically showing that Juju was humble and coming to him for advice. Real petty, childish, immature, punk,
Cancer.
soft, weak move. And that's kind of all the words I can use on radio.
I just can't wait for Antonio Brown to get into it with Derek Carr and divide that locker room and then see the Titans fans hope, pray, and wish that the Titans will trade for him.
Yeah. Guys, about this whole Garantano thing, it's good to see him step up and take his leadership to the next level. But what everybody needs to realize is that in order for Garantano to be a good quarterback, he actually has to have an offensive line.
Yeah, that's important too. That's really important. That's I think that's what a lot of people fail to realize yesterday. They when looking at him and trying to figure out if he's doing a good job or not, if he's going to be good here, I think they totally forget that he had one of the worst offensive lines in Tennessee football history.
It wasn't a Division I offensive line without Trey Smith and Brandon Kennedy.
I mean, it was bad, and I thought he did the best job that he could with that line. It was efficient and took care of the football as much as he could.
If we want to talk about former UT quarterbacks you don't have a lot of confidence in, all you have to do is change channels. See you, boys!
Or apparently show up to the spring game.
I'm not taking that bait. Let's get to Kevin. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, Swain. Good morning, Ben.
Hey, Kevin.
I listen to you guys all the time. First time calling in.
Thank you.
I'm down in Orlando, which is Brian Maurer actually played at the school that my son's going to be playing for this coming year. And last season, in his game, it came down to the wire, and there was a play with like a minute left in the game. It was like one of those plays in the NFL or in college it would have been reviewed, but it was high school ball, and there's not really any review. And his coach was arguing the play, and his coach got tossed because he wouldn't let it go. He was riding into the refs. And Brian Maurer, whenever the coach got tossed, my son's Pop Warner coaches were over on the side holding the chains. And they said that Brian Maurer had to be restrained by the other coaches and by his teammates because he was letting into the refs also, telling them, hey, this is my senior season. Why are you going to do this? That's my coach, cussing at the refs and everything. And my son's coach told me, he said, man, that kid needs to grow up because he has a lot of maturity issues, which hopefully Garantano and Cheney and T and everybody can get in there and work with him on that and help him grow up some. But that was my concern whenever he committed to Tennessee, and I had to listen to all these Florida fans say, well, look what you get. So, But I also have one more thing. My son's, some of his teammates went on a cruise over spring break, and they all called me whenever they got back. It just so happened there was a bunch of Tennessee students on that cruise. Well, also on that cruise was Josh Dobbs and Jack Jones. And they said that Josh Dobbs represented Tennessee better than any person they've ever seen. They said that he was not only at the beach and out on shore playing football with the kids, the Pop Warner kids, these middle school kids, but he was on the ship playing basketball with them and hanging out with them and eating with them and stuff like that. And they said that they couldn't even tell that he was an NFL quarterback because of the way that he carried himself, and he was just down to earth, and just they could tell that he was from a good family, and he was one of the nicest people that they had ever met. So I'm a Steelers fan also, so it's good to hear that some of these Steeler Vols are out there representing the university as best they can. So
no, that's really cool, and that's not surprising about Josh Dobbs. I mean, Josh Dobbs is, I mean, he's phenomenal. He's what you want. He's what you want in a college quarterback. He's what you want in a someone who has played here and still will represent the university. And I've said it probably a million times. If I had a son, I want my son to be just like Josh Dobbs. There's no doubt about it. Josh is the man. He is the man. I want to touch on a little bit of the Brian Maurer story that you shared. If you are listening on the app, there's been no commercial because kind of went over the top of the hour break, and so we'll get back on track here. I thought it was a great phone call and didn't want to cut Kevin off. So, but Kevin mentioned that in one of the games, Brian Maurer was getting at the referees a little bit, and probably a little bit too much, and had some concern about some maturity issues. And I remember my freshman year sitting down chit-chat with Robert Meacham, and Robert and I were roommates 2 out of the 4 years that I was here at Tennessee. And Robert shared a story with me about how he got into an incident on the field, and it made national news, I remember. Well, there was a huge brawl in one of his football games, like a huge brawl between the two teams. And Robert was involved in the brawl. And it painted Robert in like a really bad light because he was defending one of his teammates. And I've seen fights here at Tennessee when I was a player that involved like locals, it involved fraternities, and guys that were not instigators, guys who never tried to start fights or bully anyone, they were protecting their teammates. They ain't gonna bite you unless you bite them, or unless you try to mess with somebody on their team or someone in their family. And that's Meacham. I mean, Meacham wouldn't hurt a fly unless you mess with somebody in their family or his family or one of his teammates. And so Meacham had this like negative stigma attached to him when he came into Tennessee, and Meacham didn't have any problems at all. We've seen the Admiral Schofields who come in and be a little bit immature, not understanding what it takes to be a student athlete to the fullest, and look where he is now. We've seen guys grow and develop as student athletes and as young men and young women. And not everyone is built the same. I mean, you have quarterbacks that come in and they are like, they walk like a quarterback, they talk like a quarterback, they look like a quarterback. In 2009, I met B.J. Coleman out and about, and the dude was like, he carried himself like a 10-year NFL vet. Usually when you meet someone around your same age, you give them like some dap. You give them like a high five, a little handshake. No, that's not what B.J. Coleman did. B.J. Coleman shook my hand, and it hurt because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for a handshake. You know how you go in for the handshake, and the guy who shakes your hand squeezes harder than you, and you're like, dang, dog, I gave a weak handshake. Man, he probably thinks I'm like a pansy. You want to always go in with a good firm handshake. Just go in. That first handshake says a lot about you as a man when you shake another man's hand. Well, BJ shook my hand, and it was like a soft handshake because I wasn't ready for it. And I remember saying, man, as I was kind of shaking my hand because it hurt a little bit, it's like, man, that freshman quarterback, dude, he's businesslike. He's a grown man. You have quarterbacks like that. They come in and they're ready to go. They're business. You also have quarterbacks that, man, they come in and they're immature. They need to grow up a little bit. You know, the Brent Schaefers of the world comes in and, you know, he doesn't understand what it means to be the quarterback at Tennessee, and he gets himself in trouble. Schaefer was a guy that would smoke a little bit, and he didn't understand that it's not a good idea to walk around campus smoking Black and Miles. Bro, you are the quarterback at Tennessee. You can't walk around smoking Black and Miles. If you want to smoke Black and Miles, you smoke them in your room. You can't walk around campus smoking Black and Miles, even though it's legal, I guess, at the time. You can't do that. And when Coach Cutcliffe came, he didn't allow his quarterbacks to wear hats or earrings because there's a certain way you have to carry yourself. And so Brian Maurer doesn't have to, play right now. He has time to grow and develop. Riley Ferguson came in, and he was immature. He didn't understand that was a process, and the coaches were testing him and pushing him and seeing if he would pass, mental checkpoints and mental hurdles to see if they can trust him in a game against Alabama and Florida in the fourth quarter. So if you can't handle a little adversity in practice, then how can we trust you against Alabama and Florida? So that's okay right now with Brian Maurer. I mean, you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, and you're gonna learn how to carry yourself as a student athlete and carry yourself as a Tennessee football player, because this thing, I'm telling you, it is 90% mental. It's 90% mental. How do you push through when you don't feel like it? When you're tired, when you're beat up, when you're sore, when the coaches cussed you out and called you all kind of names, and you don't know if the coach likes you or he cares about you. Mentally, all kind of thoughts are gonna go on, and so you got to push through. This game is mental. So I appreciate the story though, because that's some great insight on Brian Maurer. But I think he's gonna be okay if he takes the leadership from Jared and Chaney and T and Winky, because Winky understands how much it is a mental game.
I think the important thing to remember with that story is that we all have been in that situation before, to where we have taken things too far. And especially if you have played sports, you've gotten caught up in the heat of the moment, yep, in the middle of competition, and said things that you shouldn't have. Yep. And even outside of sports, we've all gotten into arguments with our significant other, with our best friends, with family members, where we just reached a boiling point and said things that we shouldn't. I remember my very last high school baseball game is actually, we were playing Grissom, and my junior year we were really loaded, and we had like 10 or 11 people graduate. And my senior year we took a big step back, and we did not make the playoffs my senior year. But that year Grissom was top 5, top 10 in the state, and we were playing my final baseball game at Grissom High School, and I was playing shortstop, and we were up. We were beating them, and I think there was one out, and I was playing shortstop, and there's a runner on first, and I was confident that this is going to be my last game. We're going to beat a big-time team that's ranked very high in state, and finish the season on a positive note. And it was a season that was miserable to go through, quite frankly. But I made a great play at shortstop, and it was kind of hit towards second base, and I dove for it, and I got it, and I was able to step on second and fire it to first. I mean, I made a tremendous play, and it would have been the picture-perfect way to finish a high school baseball career. And I threw it to first. It was right on the money, and my throw 100% beat the base runner who had hit the ball by, a step, maybe even 2 steps. I mean, he was clearly out, and the umpire called him safe. And there's actually a runner on third also, and that runner scored, so it tied the game. But they should not have counted because he was out, The game should have been over. We should have won. And I turned around, and I didn't go the Brian Maurer route, and I wasn't cussing out the umpires or having to be restrained from the umpire or anything like that. But I yelled at the umpire for like the first time ever, and I did say something similar to Brian Maurer in the sense of, this is my very last game, and you just ruined it. You just ruined my moment. And I was yelling at him, saying that, and I got caught up in the moment. And ever since that moment, as soon as the game was over, I felt terrible about turning around and yelling at the umpire. And I still think about it to this day, and I always regret the way I talked to that umpire. And again, I didn't cuss at him or say anything, but I did take it too far in the sense of yelling at him in that moment. And as soon as the game was over, I walked up and I apologized to him, because I got caught up in the moment, in the heat of competition, and we've all been there. So I do think when you hear that story about Brian Maurer losing it on the sideline, I think it's important to remember that we all have been in that situation, whether it be playing a sport or whether just be in our everyday life, communicating with people who matter to us.
Yeah, especially as a youngster, man. I got two little examples. One was AAU. I was really frustrated I was playing, and dude, I was on fire, man. I was getting it done, and I think I missed a shot, and the coach was like, "Man, pass it to this dude." And my teammate was like, I had no problem with my teammate. We were cool, but the words that I used were not good. I was like, "Man, blank him." Really loud. And I didn't mean it forget him. I meant hey man, I was open, so leave me alone. And it was bad. It sounded bad, looked bad. And then another one quickly, then we'll go to the text box, we'll go to Facebook Live comments, Twitter, whatever, and keep going. But we were playing Sparkman. This is the school that Lamonte Turner went to when he lived in Huntsville.
Before he went to his little prep school. Yeah,
before he went to Florence and then the prep school down in IMG. And we beat them. And we beat them, and at the end of the game, one of their white players called me N-word. And Sparkman is not a school where it's country and everybody's white. There's a mix. And I remember after the game losing it. Losing my mind. Snapping. And I was snapping on the black players on the Sparkman team, because I was like, y'all, you got to check your man. This is your teammate. You should be checking him first. You should be the first people checking him. And then my coach just did not understand why I was livid. I was ready to fight everybody on the Sparkman team. Everybody. And that was a lesson that I had to learn about not getting outside myself because of someone else's comments. And that kind of prepped me for what I'm doing today. Funny. But like you said, going back to Brian Maurer, man, he's a young man, and he might have had a rough day yesterday and probably had a rough moment there in high school. But that's something we just put in our back pocket. And if it comes up later, it's a big problem. We go, okay, well, we saw signs of that. If it doesn't come up, if nothing comes of it and he grows and becomes a very mature player and a good player, it's something we can bring up and go, hey man, look at how much he has grown. We can go back to the freshman practice where he had a tough practice and Jared was there to kind of pick his head up when he was down. So really cool thing about sports. 865-250-503. We'll go to the text box, taking your phone calls here on the Swain Event. Hour 3, powered by Low T Center and lowtcenter.com.
Hour 3 of the Swain Event is brought to you by the Low T Center and lowtcenter.com. Do you know your numbers? Feel like you again. Let us help.
VFL's Jason Swain and Todd Kelly here with our Men on Football and Smoothie segment. Let's discuss some of our favorite smoothies and how they impact our lives. TK, Man, tell me which smoothie comes to mind when you think about playing defense.
Swain, the Peanut Butter Power Plus and the Power Punch Plus provide the energy needed to make plays every time they take the field. Then you have the Gladiator and the Hawk, nutrition every dominant player has to have. Bottom line, everyone wants to be a dominant player. Now, Swain, you tell me about the offensive side of the ball.
TK, it's simple. You always score with Smoothie King. The shredder personifies what we are going to do to opposing defenses. The Berry Punch and Activator will light up the scoreboard. And in case we need to go into overtime, the Pure Recharge will put us over the top for the win.
Swain, you know I love football and Smoothie King. I'm a VFL, a Smoothie King for life. The Chocolate Gladiator and the Chocolate Shredder with the scoop of peanut butter, that's my go-to smoothie. They get a chest bump all day.
Yes, sir. This concludes our Men on Football and Smoothie King segment for today. Don't forget the Sip by Sip program. Use Smoothie King as a meal replacement 5 or more times a week, and you'll feel and see the difference. Smoothie King, the healthy alternative to fast food. Delicious and nutritious. TK.
Don't forget the peanut butter. Yeah, boy.
In debt? In too deep? Alcoa 10 Federal Credit Union says, stop treading water and get out of the deep end. If you've got debt, make a splash and come get some cash. If Alcoa 10 Federal Credit Union can refinance your car, boat, camper, motorcycle, credit cards, personal or home loan, they'll pay you up to $500. So come take the plunge right now. Refinance your loans. Alcoa 10 Federal Credit Union will pay you. 5 convenient locations. Visit atfcu.com. Equal housing lender.
You're listening to the Swain Event, fueled by Dead End BBQ. Check them out online at deadendbbq.com.
Swain Event, SwainEvent.com, fueled by Dead End BBQ, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. Man, oh man, oh man. It feels good to be on this side of a coach flirting with a job, getting himself a raise, getting his people a raise, and staying. Because the 2 times that Tennessee went after Mike Gundy, he's used Tennessee to get a raise. Mike Gundy has used other schools to get a raise too. We've seen coaches be fired here because of NCAA violations. We've seen coaches leave here, and we take pride in our program as a fan. Why would anybody want to leave? Lane Kiffin did that. O'Don, Conzo Martin did that after the 2014 season, and we take pride in our program. We take pride in Knoxville, and it was good to see Rick Barnes stay and turn away UCLA. We are joined by Aaron Torres, who is I think we're good to go. Aaron, good morning.
Fellas, can you hear me?
Man, you sound wonderful, man. You sound wonderful. How you doing, sir?
Perfect. I'm great, man. I'm back from the Final Four. I'm going to another event this weekend. Then basically my season is more or less over. So, listen, I'm just appreciative of guys like you that still want to talk college basketball, because in 2 or 3 days it's going to be back to football, and you're going to forget a little old guy like me exists. So, I mean, actually, you never really left football, so I guess that's technically the accurate description. But either way, Jason, I'm happy to be on, man.
Absolutely, man. First, let me get this out of the way, because I clicked on your profile picture, and we might have to address some things, Aaron, here. You know where I'm going, right?
Well, there's a great confusion over what's going on with that profile picture. So first of all, I've gotten a lot of, is that really Antonio Brown? Like, what kind of loser is going to pose with a fake Antonio Brown? Yes, it's really Antonio Brown, but the picture isn't really about, like, me being with Antonio Brown. I just think I look really good. And if I think I look good, why should I have to change my picture just because he changed teams?
Well, it's not the team thing. It's just how Antonio Brown has acted like a buffoon over the last couple of days. I don't want that to rub off or reflect how great you are. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, it could affect my brand by being associated with Antonio Brown. Okay, well,
correct.
Luckily, I don't think I have any direct messages that he can put out on social media. No, I guess you're right now that I think about it. Yeah, no, I mean, my, look, my brand is what it is at this point. I've been known to hang out with some unscrupulous people at times, including maybe late at night at the Final Four after midnight. But you know what, though? It's okay. I'm going to move on. I do feel like it is time for a change. Here's the thing, too, Jason. I'll be honest, right? You talk about brand. Look, I have some nice, professional headshots and stuff that's been done. I don't want to look too nice in my picture, though. Like, I like that I'm wearing a T-shirt and jeans, that I'm one of the guys, that I'm a man of the people.
Yep.
The second I throw on that blazer, I become just another corporate monkey, and I don't want to be one of those guys. I want to be I want to be just a guy that, Antonio Brown, I'm wearing jeans, I can go in the backyard, you can have a catch with me. That's the guy that I want to be. So, when you put up a profile picture, you're right, it does speak a lot about you and your brand. And so I don't want to give off the wrong vibe. So I'm waiting for the right next picture to come along.
Gotcha. Does
that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense, man. We just, we have a friendship now, man. We tight. So I just feel like I need to be looking out for your best interest. So I just need to go ahead and bring that to your attention.
No, I appreciate you looking out for me.
And you're in California. You're in beautiful California. And what is going on with LA college sports teams right now? I mean, UCLA and USC. You got, Lynn Swan, who is bringing back, Helton, and he's going off and signing autographs, getting paid, and they're after him. And then UCLA with probably the second worst coaching search ever next to Tennessee. And they strike out on Rick Barnes. They offer Calipari less money. Like, what is going on, man, with the LA college sports teams?
By the way, you forgot to mention that USC athletics is in the middle of one of the biggest admission scandals ever.
Correct.
It was really funny. I was actually at the Pac-12 tournament about a month ago, and I was talking to somebody from USC, and they said, "Oh man, it's good to get out of town for a day, with all this FBI stuff going on." And I thought they were talking about the original FBI thing from like a year ago, but they were talking about the new FBI thing with Aunt Becky and Felicity Huffman and all them. So, yeah, it's not a banner couple weeks for LA sports, and then you add in the whole Magic Johnson situation last night. It's not great. I don't know what's going on. And I think, look, it starts with some kind of real simple kind of concepts, right? Like Lynn Swan had never been an AD, and I don't think he realizes everything that goes on into it. I was somewhat defensive of him keeping Clay Helton. I mean, Clay Helton, people forget, won the Pac-12 2 years ago. And everybody wants to argue that was because of Sam Darnold, and that may be correct, blah, 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 blah. With the USC, Rick Barnes, it was an unbelievable 2 weeks. And I'll tell you this, Jason, I was on air on Fox Sports Radio when the news broke that they offered Calipari that 6-year, $48 million deal. And I was actually okay with it. The response out of Lexington obviously was what you would expect. What an insult to offer somebody less than they're already making, blah, 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 blah. I didn't really have that big of a problem with it, because what that said to me was that I didn't think they ever thought they were going to get John Calipari, but that was UCLA's way of saying, we're willing to spend big money for the right coach, which would have been well and good if they hadn't not paid Jamie Dixon's buyout, the head coach at TCU. So it was a complete you-know-what show. The Rick Barnes stuff came completely out of nowhere. I was at my house on Sunday trying to get stuff done. I had just been back from Minneapolis and just trying to, get my life together. I was stunned. I was shocked. I think Rick Barnes ultimately made the right decision. I mean, when he gets back in front of you guys in the media, he can explain whether he really seriously considered it or whether he was using it as a power play. But, I think that, look, I think when UCLA calls, coaches still want to listen, because UCLA does still kind of it holds something in the mind, even if in reality it isn't that great. And as I've said on other shows in Knoxville, look, he had the number one team in the country this year. There's a chance he could lose Schofield, Bone, and Williams to the NBA next year. Now, based on what I saw from Grant Williams, it sounds like he's seriously considering coming back. But I understand where Rick Barnes was coming from to at least take the call. I would have loved to hang out with him, play some golf, have some cocktails, whatever. But I think he made the right choice sticking with UT.
I know that Tennessee basketball is not a blue blood, and I know UCLA has had quite the coaching search. But what does it say about Tennessee basketball from a national perspective that their head basketball coach chose to stay in Knoxville rather than pursue a job at a blue blood?
It's a great question. I think every situation is a little bit different. I don't think it's as simple as Tennessee is now a better job than UCLA, right? I mean, Rick Barnes, look, I think what it speaks to is that Rick Barnes feels comfortable with what he's built at Tennessee. Like, I think if he felt like, this thing's going to fall apart now that Admiral Schofield's gone and maybe Grant Williams, I think if he thought that, he would have been on the first flight to L.A. I think it speaks to what SEC basketball has become, where these coaches now feel like they're well compensated, they're well taken care of, that they don't have to chase a big paycheck somewhere else, and that, I can win big, that a Sweet 16 doesn't have to be the ceiling for my program at the University of Tennessee. Now, look, if he had been UCLA's first choice, would it have been different? Maybe. If he was, 48 instead of 60, whatever he is, and maybe more in the middle of his career, and he wanted another challenge, maybe he would have taken it. Heck, I think with Rick Barnes, and again, I don't know this from him personally, but I think everything that he went through at Texas, I think makes him appreciate a spot like Tennessee more, where the foundation is built, but two, he knows what it's like to be in the spotlight, and not that Texas is UCLA or whatever, but, he knows what it's like to be on the hot seat. He knows what it's like to have a fan base turn on him, and I'm sure he's sitting there saying, I got it pretty good in Knoxville right now. So I think all of those things speak to Rick Barnes. I think it speaks to the fact that, like I said, I think he realizes he's got a good situation at Tennessee, which is a credit to Rick Barnes. It's also a credit to Tennessee for making Tennessee basketball a destination job as well.
Do you think it's realistic to expect the SEC as a conference to be neck and neck or even better than the ACC in the coming years with the additions of some of the coaches in the offseason?
Guys, so I was on this 2 years ago, and before you guys even knew me, I was just getting murdered on social media. And I was right, by the way, which, so, typical stuff, people get mad, you end up being right, whatever. So I said 2 years ago, so 2017, when Tennessee was SEC co-champ, I said this is the best conference top to bottom in college basketball. Now, that year, there was no true national championship contender, but if you looked at the league, Arkansas was a tournament team, Alabama was a tournament team, Texas A&M was a tournament team. Oh, by the way, all those schools got rid of their coaches 1 year after making the tournament. And so this year, I thought the top was a little bit better. I don't think the middle and the bottom was as good. But as we look ahead, I don't even think it's a debate. And ACC fans get so mad because, they have their little history and they don't want the truth. They don't want what's going on in 2019. Here's the bottom line. The ACC has some iconic, incredible coaches at the top with Duke and Duke and Coach K, Roy Williams, North Carolina. First of all, the guys at the bottom are a mess. Danny Manning's a mess. Josh Pastner, who you guys are familiar with from his Memphis days, is a mess at Georgia Tech. First of all, there are no bad coaches in the SEC right now.
Nope.
I did the math, and of the 16 head coaches, 13 of them have coached in the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. That is unbelievable. And I look at the schools that have made coaching, and here's the other thing, too. As I said, the ACC has some great coaches, but most of them are going to be out in the next 3, 4, 5 years. And so you look at, John Calipari, obviously that lifetime contract, he's going to be there for another 7, 8 years, I would say, at minimum. Buzz Williams is only 45. Eric Musselman, I don't know if he's built for the long haul. I don't know if he, the type of person that he is, he's built to be anywhere for 15 years, but I think in 4 or 5 years he can really get Arkansas going. There are other guys. Bruce Pearl, if he can stay out of trouble, he's got another 10, 12 years. And look, all these guys aren't going to survive. We get that. But the point I'm trying to make is the ACC has iconic, Hall of Famers at the top, but most of them are going to be out in 2 or 3 years, and they got crap at the bottom. They got absolute crap. The SEC, you look at a guy like Nate Oates who comes to Alabama, he just took a team in Buffalo with no basketball history to the second week, or to, they were in the top 25 all season long. Eric Musselman, as I said, has made a Sweet 16. He's a former NBA head coach. And so I don't even think it's a debate at this point. ACC fans will get, they'll get, their panties in a bunch arguing otherwise. I don't even really think it's a debate. I think the depth is there in a way that it isn't in any other conference, maybe the Big 12, but I don't think it's there in any other conference. And then the guys are young, too. I mean, when Rick Barnes at 61, 62, whatever he is one of the elder statesmen and potentially has another 7, 8 years, I think it's a great sign to the depth and overall just quality of coaching in that conference.
No doubt. Aaron, I have a idea of who you can replace Antonio Brown with on your profile pic, if you can find this, if you can make this happen.
That?
I think you should get a photo with Magic Johnson.
Laughing.
Magic Johnson.
I feel like he's going to be accessible these next few weeks now that he's stepped down.
I think he has more free time to take photos with radio icons like yourself. I think you can make it happen.
Well, listen, I know you guys. I don't know if you guys even watch the NBA down there.
Oh, I do.
This LeBron thing has been such a disaster in LA, and I host national radio shows, so I talk LeBron all the time. When LeBron, LeBron is the Black Widow, man. Everywhere he goes, coaches and GMs and front office people, they drop like flies, and to see him just discard Magic Johnson in 6 months it's really some of LeBron's finest work. And I'm mostly a LeBron defender, by the way, but to see him just make quick work of Magic Johnson, maybe the most iconic Laker of all time, it really is unbelievable.
Woo. Aaron, thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate your time this morning, man. We had an awesome time during basketball season, and I'm not saying like goodbye like we're done. We're not going to talk to you into the basketball season. I just really appreciate your commentary and your time.
I was going to say, too, I know you probably got to get to a break here. I don't write as much about college football, but listen, I do Fox Sports Radio's post-game college football Saturday show. So I'm not saying that I know the too deep of Tennessee as it is today, but I watch college football for 14 hours every Saturday. So if I tweet anything interesting or say anything funny, you guys always have the green light to bring me on and talk Tennessee football.
How dare you not know the backup kicker for Tennessee?
That's what I'm saying. Listen, there's only so much bandwidth in my brain. When FoxSports.com used to be a thing, I used to do more college football like coverage, like get out to games and stuff like that. Now I'm just a guy on the couch with a beer watching. But hey, it's a good life to live. I get paid to watch college football all day and then come talk about it on Saturday night. So I'm just saying it doesn't have to be until October or November, December. And by the way, I would say this, based on what Grant Williams said yesterday, I believe there's a real chance he'll come back. So we might have more basketball to talk this offseason. That's all I'm saying.
No doubt. Aaron_Torres is how you can follow him on Twitter. Fox Sports Radio does a great job. Aaron, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate both of you guys. Have a great morning. Thank you.
You too. 865-255-03. Got about 25 minutes left in the show. And coming back, we'll talk about Pruitt, Derek Ansley, and T. Martin's comments yesterday. T. Martin had some things to say about the Lady Vols basketball hire and Kelly Harper. So stay with us. Swain Event, Hour 3, powered by Low T Center, lowtcenter.com.
Hour 3 of the Swain Event is brought to you by the Low T Center and lowtcenter.com. Do you know your numbers? Feel like you again. Let us help.
Have you noticed lack of energy, motivation, and drive? Call the Low T Center and schedule a complete health assessment today. Whether you have sleep apnea and need a CPAP or have low testosterone or low thyroid levels, Low T Center will get you feeling great again. If you're a man over 30 and haven't had an annual checkup, don't wait until you feel bad. Do yourself a favor and get a quick and easy health assessment today. Services are covered by most health insurance. Call 865-392-1388 or go to lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Top 100 Barbecue restaurant Dead End BBQ is the best place in Knoxville to get your barbecue fix. With new specials and a new menu, there is something for everyone. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, try the Smokehouse Stew. Thursday through Saturday, the Hillbilly Chili is where it's at. Don't forget the half-off wings on Tuesdays from 4 to 8 p.m. and the salmon plate on Friday. The people spoke and Dead End listened, adding Dead End Society favorites like the Bernie Mac, Randall's Kitchen Sink Burrito, and the Barbecue Cheddar Meatloaf to the menu full time. Whether it's a game day or any day, at Dead End BBQ, the mouth-watering barbecue search is over.
Are you looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Then call me, Jennifer Morris, at 865-694-5904. Listen to what the Tarver family had to say.
Jennifer was our realtor recently and helped us find our dream home. She also helped us sell our home, and we had a signed contract in only 2 days. Her greatest strengths are her patience and personality. We never felt pressured, and I would highly recommend her in buying and selling a home.
Call me, Jennifer Morris, at 865-694-5904 or email me at jennifermorris865@gmail.com.
When you see the happy face on our truck, you'll be smiling because you'll know that you're in love.
It's freezing in here, Mary. What's wrong with your heater?
The repairman can't get here till next week.
Sugar, you've got the wrong guy. My guy is fast and has free heating service calls when he does the repair.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Hiller. Take advantage of a free service call with any repair.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
JC's Tree and Landscaping Service specializes in quality tree work done at an affordable price. Trimming and removing trees are their specialty. They also offer other services like land clearing, stump grinding, crane services, and all of your basic landscaping needs for both commercial and residential. JC's will give you a free estimate and beat any written quote by a competitor to guarantee that you get the lowest price around. Don't risk your land with a fly-by-night service. JC's Tree and Landscaping is licensed and insured. Give them a call at 865-599-3799.
For a replay of each day's Swain Event TV, like us on Facebook.
I think Tennessee basketball is rubbing off on football. I think we've already seen that with the social media accounts. When I saw that T. Martin, Derek Ansley, and Pruitt talking to the media, man, I'm starting to believe that there is a little bit of a positive to allowing the fans to get to know these assistant coaches. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. When it comes to speaking to the media and preparing for Alabama or Florida or Georgia, I need you in that room preparing for those teams. But right now, during the spring game, during spring football, and you're trying to make a push for numbers, and you have a new staff, and then you made another change after the first staff, I think it's important to allow T. Martin to talk. I think it's important to allow Derek Ansley to talk. Two young, dynamic coaches. I think it's very, very important because I think that only helps with recruiting too. But during the season, I'm totally cool with these dudes not talking at all.
Yeah.
But right now, man, this is good.
Why not?
This is good.
They're not going to give away top secret information or anything. And not only did we get Jeremy Pruitt and Derek Ansley yesterday after practice, we got to see 3 periods of practice. Normally, we only get 2. We got to see 3 periods of practice. And we get assistant coaches around lunchtime today. Ooh. Again.
Yeah, this is good, man. I'm glad that I don't remember it being like this last year around the spring game, but this is a good it's a little small adjustment. I really thought that this needed to happen, and I'm glad
glad that it is. So, some of the quotes, things that stood out to you, Ben, the most from yesterday's practice and availability time with the media.
I kind of go one by one. During practice, I mean, it was the same old usual stuff in terms of just, not individual drills, but unit drills, tight ends. I have yet to see the tight ends catch a pass all spring. All they do when we are there is work on blocking. Yesterday, just Brian Niedermeyer was really emphasizing hand placement. The receivers even started out their first individual drill by kind of tracking the DB and then making sure they hit him right in the chest plate. Just working on fundamentals and DBs high pointing the football, backpedaling, coming out of their backpedal and breaking towards the football. The linebackers were doing the same thing, kind of tracking what appeared to be a fullback and then striking the lead blocker on a run play and things of that nature. And then the offensive line and defensive line really working with the sleds, working on fundamentals, working on technique, hand placement. Feet work is very important for an offensive lineman, so they're under the chute and they're straddling a board and really working on their feet work. And then obviously I've barely seen anything from the running backs this spring, because they're on the complete opposite side of where we're allowed to stand during practice. But we saw the quarterbacks and running backs kind of working on read options and handling the football, and then the quarterbacks came over and did routes versus air with the wide receivers. And in terms of Juwan Jennings, Josh Palmer, and Marquez Callaway, I've barely seen the ball hit the ground when the quarterback is throwing them the football. And usually when the ball hits the ground, it's because the quarterback threw an errant pass. I mean, when you see the ball hit the ground because of the receiver, it's usually the backup receivers or the walk-ons. And that leads me to kind of what Jeremy Pruitt said yesterday during his press conference, that the wide receiver position is the most experienced group on the team, and it shows every day with how they prepare. Says he's seen a lot of improvement with the addition of T. Martin. And T. Martin, when he spoke after practice, he talked about Josh Palmer very highly, compared him to Nelson Aguilar, which I don't know what team Nelson Aguilar is currently playing for. I know he was with the Eagles. I didn't know he had switched teams, but he played at USC under T. Martin, compared Josh Palmer to him. Mentioned that he tried to recruit Josh Palmer to USC, but it was a little too late as he was headed to Tennessee, and that if he wasn't going to come to USC, he was happy to see him come to Knoxville instead. And then he also said about Josh Palmer that he's been a big brother to freshman Ramel Keaton. So there were a lot of comments said yesterday, but kind of the ones that stood out to me the most was the talk about the wide receivers. And I think that's big for a guy like Jarrett Garantano, who has a lot going on this spring.
Josh Palmer, I've been high on as far as his ceiling, because he has the tools to be better than Juwan and better than Marquez Callaway. He has those tools because he is physical. He's physically gifted. He runs very, very well. He's probably faster than Callaway. But he's learning the position. He's still learning. Like, this is, third or fourth year playing the position. And so I'm glad to see those comments from T. Martin. Derek Ansley spoke about returning to the college game. And, man, he just sounds like a future head coach.
Mm-hmm.
When you listen to him talk, you could just tell. When Justin Wilcox was here, he was like, "Oh yeah, that's a future head coach." You can just tell. And look where he is right now. He's a head coach at Cal. So Ansley carries himself like a head coach, and that's good for Pruitt because you already have that kind of in Jim Chaney, who's like the head coach of the offense. You don't have to look over his shoulder. And Derek Ansley, if he's able to do the same thing, which it sounds like by listening to his comments, man, now Pruitt can be more of a manager, be a head coach than looking over people's shoulders and being a helicopter head coach. But here's something that stood out as we went through the whole Rick Barnes thing, a couple days ago. But he said the relationship with Coach Pruitt made it easy, no-brainer for me, but also to coordinate a defense for the first time in the SEC. At a storied program like Tennessee, we have an unbelievable tradition and an incredible boss in Coach Former, who give us everything we need resource-wise here to come back to be a defensive coordinator and work with Pruitt, both of those things were very positive in coming back. So that was his comments on returning to the college game after spending a year with the Oakland Raiders. So that stood out to me.
Yeah, and sticking with the defensive backs, because that is Derek Ansley is the defensive coordinator, but he is also a defensive back guru. And sticking with the defensive backs, D'Angelo Gibbs, I believe yesterday was his second practice with the defensive backs, and Jeremy Pruitt said during his press conference that Gibbs has done really well at the star position. Says he picked off a pass the other day in the scrimmage, and they're going to leave him on the defensive side of the ball for the remainder of spring. The thinking behind that was, all right, he spent 9 practices at wide receiver, and then by the time spring wraps up, he will have had 6 practices on the defensive side of the ball. So they kind of have almost an equal amount of tape on both sides of the ball. But the way he talked about him, and to me, with the lack of depth at defensive back and more of a need in the defensive backfield rather than at receiver, I think if D'Angelo Gibbs is eligible to play this year, I think we're going to see him in the defensive backfield. And Ansley also said that he's known Gibbs since he was in 9th grade. Says that it's a lot of credit to him that he can play effectively both at receiver and defensive back. And Ansley also added that Jeremy Pruitt did a great job of coaching Alontae Taylor and Bryce Thompson last year, to the point where this upcoming season and next season, and if they return for a senior year, they're going to be the cornerstones of this Tennessee defense for the next 2 to 3 years.
When I saw D'Angelo Gibbs, I saw a player that would benefit sitting out a year with the transfer rule. If he's going to stay at wide receiver, really benefiting there. But if he is looked upon to play right now, then he may be more comfortable playing defense. And just because he came from a different school in Georgia, Pruitt has said that Kirby Smart's defense and Tennessee's defense, they're not too far apart in some of the things that they do. So that allows D'Angelo Gibbs to not think as much and to react, believe what he sees, and just go. Because one thing we understand, that a confused mind does nothing. And sometimes the mind can tie up the feet. And you're thinking instead of reacting as quick as possible. And so D'Angelo maybe feel more comfortable at DB. And we'll get a look at that during the spring game, the orange or white game, where it's going to be as close as possible to a game as we can get it. And what you hope for is good football, but without the injuries. And so our players got to do a really good job of taking care of each other. No peel back blocks, some guys who are not looking. And I know the game is trying to clean up that play anyways, but just do a really good job of protecting each other. When someone is hung up on a high pass, there's no need to kind of take their receiver's leg out. This is your own guy. Now, if you're playing Florida, hey, you got to flip him. You got to flip him. You got to have him like Dominic Dawes in the air, Olympian gold medalist. You got to go ahead and flip him if you have the opportunity, but not our own guys. So I'm looking forward to the spring game, 6 p.m. It's going to be a huge weekend, a busy weekend. I know for me and our household, it's going to be super busy. But just as an athletic program, there's a ton of things going around the program. I got an email from Tennessee for the letterman, letting the letterman know all the things that they can be engaged with and be involved with and go see during the weekend, other sports, other events, Tennessee-owned football events that we can go and be a part of.
Yeah, I know I believe track and field begins at 10 a.m., 11 a.m., something along that line. Tennessee softball plays, I want to say, Mississippi State at 1 o'clock. Tennessee baseball has a huge series with number 2 Georgia beginning at 3 o'clock, and then the spring game is at 6.
A lot of stuff going on right now. 865-200-5503.
I want to add this other note. It was kind of a big note that was overlooked mainly because of who the player is. But Jeremy Pruitt mentioned that Carlin Fields-Aimee is out for the remainder of spring with a leg injury and won't return until July. The reason I think this is being overlooked is because Pruitt said that he was having a great spring. I mean, raved about the spring that he was having. And Carlin Fields-Aimee isn't going to start. He's probably not even going to receive reps as the second back or maybe even the third back. But I think Carlin Fields-Aimee is a guy that Jim Chaney can use creatively, like we saw in I believe it was a South Carolina game, on a couple of reverses and a couple sneaky different things that he did. And I thought it was encouraging that Pruitt kind of went out of his way to really talk about the spring that he was having, the best spring that he has had to this point. I thought it was interesting because last spring it took Pruitt until the end of spring practice to him to even mention a person by name, and now he's gotten to the point where he has talked very highly of Jarrett Garantano's leadership and the steps that he has taken, and obviously other guys, but then to go out of his way for Carlin Fields-Aimee, I thought that spoke to him, and it's unfortunate that a guy that's having a great spring can't finish it out very strongly.
Yeah, we can see the kind of changes in approach Pruitt, man. We can tell like the little subtle changes, man. It's been kind of cool to see. All right, 87 Vol says, preach Swain. Harper deserves a shot. I believe with the resources we have at Tennessee, she will succeed and be great. Fans do need to realize nobody will ever be Pat, and they can still be great. That was from yesterday. Let's see here. Here's from today. Joe Wag says, I agree from yesterday that Barnes staying at UT is huge. Hopefully, Kelly Harper was a good hire. I have a good feeling about it. Former is receiving more and more trust from me as an AD. T-Vol says Harper took over K-Yao at NC State. Jared Greenville. We are getting together Dead End BBQ Friday. Unsure about Saturday because I got a lot of stuff.
Swain's eating ribs with a fork.
Yeah, on Friday. That's happening. Tremel from Chattanooga says, man, Tony is on point. Talking about Tony Vitello. We had him on the show. Carmen says she's a big baseball fan and have watched most of our games. This team's fun to watch. I'm so glad we have him as our coach. Great interview. Thank you so much, Carmen. Let's see. Green X says leadership is important for JG, but I think he already is a pretty good leader. I think his biggest area of growth needs to be in the pocket with his awareness. There has been some bad O-lines over the years, but I never saw a quarterback take so many highlight level shots in my life. And a lot of those, you know why you take those shots? Because you expect that to be covered. When you know something is not covered, you have a sense of urgency because you know you have a blind side that's unprotected. Jared took those shots because he was comfortable and he was hit. So some of that is on Jared, cool, whatever. Some of that is on guys missing their assignments and guys not executing too. So that also needs to happen. Pretty good leader is not good enough, though. When you're talking about a multi-year quarterback in the SEC, a pretty good leader is not good enough. Jared, this is the second year of this being really his team, this being his offense. And so last year, man, a lot of guys were on the Quentin Dormady train. There's no other train. There's Jarrett Garantano. That's it. And so I think his leadership is going to continue to take steps forward, and that is very, very important. And I think Chaney is going to help him with the growth in the pocket and understanding how to protect himself and continue to protect the ball and play with more anticipation. Ken says, Sueno, thanks for talking about and saying positive things about Jared. Kid gets way too much crap from the fans in his opinion. Can't tell how many times I go on Vol Nation website to check things out and wind up spending the next 30 minutes arguing with guys and defending JG. I appreciate you. I mean, it's just kind of what I feel. I mean, I look at the hand that Jared's dealt, and my opinion is kind of based on what I've seen from Jared's play and what I know behind the scenes and what I've seen in practice. And Jared continues to grow, and we need to allow him to grow. And everyone's going to come in and be Jake Fromm in their first year because you don't have Jake Fromm, a supporting cast around him to make him look better. All right, we got a few minutes. we did not do for what in hour 2. But let's do it right now. Ben, you tried to slip in for what during Attaboy. So what you got for what today?
And let it be known, I tried to slip in for what during Attaboy because I did not think we were going to get it. I wasn't trying to mix it up like Volstorm was accusing me of doing.
We're going to get to it. So what you got?
I'm giving one to Ashley Neville. And she is some random person on Twitter. No, I'm kidding. She claims to be a sports reporter and producer, a content creator, A to Z prep spotlight, whatever. She's not on my good side right now because yesterday at 11:15, which was 15 minutes before Grant Williams was set to announce his decision, tweets out, "Sources tell me that Tennessee All-American Grant Williams will announce today that he intends to enter the NBA draft but will not sign with an agent, yet to retain his eligibility should he choose to return to college." I'm giving Miss Ashley for what? Why are you ruining Grant Williams' moment? Let the kid have his moment. He has grown up dreaming of playing in the NBA, and it may seem a little silly, but college kids dream of making this announcement, having the spotlight, declaring their intentions to declare for the NBA draft. And I thought that it wasn't right to kind of break his news. Let him do it. You're 15 minutes away. We all know what is about to happen. Let him do it. Let him have his moment. So that's why I'm giving her for what?
Where is she? She located in Chicago?
Phoenix.
Phoenix?
Well, that's what. Chicago, Phoenix. She said she's a U of A alum.
Arizona, I'm guessing?
Yes.
No, I'm with you on this one. 15 minutes right before he's getting ready to kind of share his intentions. Is it as egregious as stealing the spotlight from a young man who's going to announce his commitment in football, or a young lady who's going to announce her commitment in any sport? No, but it's such a selfish tweet. Golly, it's so selfish. And that's kind of where we are when you look at media these days. It's like, let him have his moment. And it's not like he shared anything with us that we didn't know, but that was a really cool professional rep that we saw from Grant Williams. All right, I'm going to Crossville, Tennessee. My man Hub City gave me this one. A Tennessee woman is accused of leading police on a slow speed chase after stealing an electric scooter from a big box store to get coffee at a waffle establishment down the street. Investigators got a call about a woman driving an electric scooter in the slow lane of a highway in Crossville, Tennessee. And Sally Shelby, 45, told police she built the cart and someone ripped off the lights on it. She said she was driving the cart from the store to get some coffee, and actually showed her stealing the cart from the big box store. So I don't think chases were meant to be slow. You might want to use something that will actually allow you to escape the police. But that's just
probably a good idea.
That's just me. It didn't work for OJ. I don't think it's going to work for you either. That is our time for today. Swain Events, fueled by Dead End BBQ, top 100 barbecue restaurant in America. For Ben McKee, I'm Jason Swain. Hope you have a great day. Peace and love.